runs, but we shall see how it goes. Here comes Afridi to open up to D'Oliveira, who drives off the front foot. Ball that was well pitched up just outside off stump, and it just goes into, I think it's Matt Carter, is it, at short cover. He fields the ball. That is Lyndon James, in fact, at cover, who fielded the ball. So tidy start from Shaheen Afridi, as you would expect. Left arm, Pakistani pace man. Interested to see him bowl, actually. He was a very, very impressive cricketer whenever I've seen him on the television. So in he comes and he bowls. Left arm over, and it's driven by D'Oliveira. This time it's driven to mid-off, where Alex Hales is the fielder, and there's no run. So 2 dots to start with from Afridi.
There's a big game. The Outlaws second on 14 points from 11 games. The Rapids third with 12 points from 10. And the Bears top of the table, 14 from 10. With Bears against Rapids tomorrow.
Form all right at Edgbaston, I feel in my mind in this competition, but maybe that's wishful thinking. It's Afridi again, thinking about it. D'Oliveira just taking a little bit of time, and in he comes again. Left arm over the wicket from the New Road end and bowls, and D'Oliveira walks into the leg side, goes for a sharp single, and he was dead and buried. Had the fielder hit the stumps. I think it's Jake Ball at mid-on. Brett D'Oliveira was dead for all money there. He just worked it into the leg side towards mid-on and set off, and he'd given it up 3/4 of the way. He'd given it up, and in the end he ended up jumping the ball after it had passed the stumps, having missed the stumps, and he was a metre short at the very least. So a lucky escape. Jake Ball, head in his hands still. There, missed opportunity for the Notts Outlaws, which would have given them the best possible start. Afridi again. And bowls. Good pace, driven by Jack Haynes. Pierces the short cover fielder, just gets past James, and he's away and off the mark. 2 for no wicket. Worcestershire. Hales just fielding the ball, running round to his left at mid-off. Sensible-ish start, you would say, from Worcestershire. Chris expressed concern that it might go out all guns blazing a little bit, but they've sensibly played so far. Afridi then to complete the first over of the Rapids innings. He bowls, and it's just a slightly slower delivery, and it's very full, but it's played off the back foot by Brett D'Oliveira. And well, I thought that was the over, to be honest. I must have miscounted. 5 deliveries gone, in fact. Still a lovely evening here at New Road. It looks a picture, actually. Sun still beating down on probably 3/4 of the ground. New Road end in shade. Afridi to complete the first over. Comes in and he bowls. Good pace, and it's just outside off stump, and D'Oliveira plays and misses at the ball, and it's through to wicketkeeper Tom Moores, and that is the
best there to do the same. Just needs to get the feet going. Start of the innings. It's a pitch that offers a little bit. Our colleagues from BBC Radio Nottingham feel that it's 60-40 the way of the Outlaws. That's 140 required. Feel sensible batting, knowing the run rate. They should get home, but what can they do here? Well, if they bowl short like that, and the home side should get home. In fact, he didn't put it away for 4 there. Jack Haynes had a lot of time, was short, just bounced nicely, pulled it, but one bounce straight to the fielder at deep square leg. The bowler is Lyndon James, tall, blonde hair, very long in the leg, lean, wearing 45, bowling from the Diglis end. D'Oliveira on strike, looks for the ramp, and he gets it, and one bounce down to the boundary at fine leg for 4 runs. Got into a position very early there, and the bowler just helped him, really dropped it short, and all D'Oliveira needed to do was get bat onto ball, which he did, and with fine leg up inside the circle, picked up the first boundary of the innings. Yeah, premeditated, I'm sure, and you'd have asked Brett where he then wanted to see the ball being delivered. That's probably exactly the spot that he'd have wished it for, wasn't it? Yep. How will James react here? Well, he's been hit over long on for 6. A lovely shot from D'Oliveira. Just went through with the arms. No footwork movement, just got the front foot forward, drove through the ball high in the air, and that's 10 off 2 deliveries, and has got the innings up and running nicely. 15 without loss, 2 balls into the second over.
Bad drop in the crowd, Chris.
Was it?
It was a really bad drop. A fella in a sort of purpley coloured t-shirt, I think he wore it in the chest, it may have pierced his hands, I think.
Oliveira, next delivery, runs the ball down for another boundary. Goes through two fielders up inside the circle at backward point and third man, and wide outside the off stump. He just opened the face of the bat, placed it perfectly between the 2 fielders, and picks up another boundary. So it's gone 4-6-4 first 3 balls of the over, and he's put Lyndon James under a lot of pressure. 121 required to win now, so he's nullified that last over of the Notts innings, and he's just done exactly the same again wiped outside the off stump and steered the ball between third man and backward point and picked up another 4.
Lovely, isn't it? Just so deft, isn't it? We've seen a real modern cricket shot, a bit of a bludgeon over long off, and then 2 lovely deft dabs, or not quite late cuts, are they? Because they're wider of the fielder, they're kind of wider than a late cut, but just really deftly guided.
Yeah, it's just opened the face, hasn't he?
It's just lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, important he doesn't do anything silly here, because they've got 21 runs off the over, last ball of the over. And he steps away. Oh, just got an inside edge down to deep square leg. We'll pick up a single, and good over for the Rapids. In fact, 1 ball left. I don't think we've had an extra, have we?
No, I miscounted the previous over as well.
Good job we're not accountants.
That's a good job, I tell you. I don't want me counting anything. I'll definitely find in my favour, Chris, anyway, that's for sure.
22 off the over so far. Haynes on strike and plays defensively from within the crease, which is a sensible thing to do after such a profitable over, because that was just what the Rapids wanted, to perhaps settle any early nerves, because with a low target of 140 they've already eaten into that by 24 without loss after 2 overs, with D'Oliveira on 20 to going up to strike rate of 200, and Jack Haynes on 2.
Yeah, it looks like Jake Ball is going to take up the attack for the Outlaws from the New Road end, but no, just the start that the Rapids would have wanted, and just really good cricket shots, really good thinking from Brett D'Oliveira. Nothing that looked outrageously risky when you watched him do it. Just made it look ever so easy. Just really, really good, and just the start they wanted. Nice, sensible cricket as well from Jack Haynes off the last delivery. When it was a good ball, he just blocked it. Ball then coming in to D'Oliveira. D'Oliveira pulls, didn't get all of it by any means, but he's got enough to clear the infield. And looks like they're going to come back for 2. They are indeed going to come back for 2, although
lazy running.
Yeah, I was going to say D'Oliveira was drifting and dawdling a little bit, probably wasn't fully focused, and Shaheen Afridi had a shy at the stumps from halfway back to the boundary, and D'Oliveira really had to get his skates on. If it had been a direct hit, I think it would have been pretty close, to be honest with you, but unfortunately from a Nottinghamshire perspective it wasn't a direct hit. But yeah, D'Oliveira's probably just give him a bit of a reminder there that he's got to do everything properly. Comes Jake Ball again to D'Oliveira, and it's short, and D'Oliveira pulls. The fielder's coming in from deep square leg, but he's not going to reach him, and fielded on the bounce by Matt Montgomery, who's fielding on deep square leg in front of the chestnut marquee on the pavilion side of the ground. 27 for none, Worcestershire.
D'Oliveira just saying to Jack Haynes, there's a bit of movement on that last delivery, just warning him.
You said it just almost looks like a wet pitch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The colour of it almost makes it look like it's a little bit damp. Ball bowls, and it's an absolute beauty. I think there's no other way of describing that. And I think Haynes played kind of defensively, maybe tried to open the face a little bit, but it bounced and left him and whistled past outside off stump, and Haynes just nodded in the direction of Jake Ball and was probably like, too good. Too good.
Yeah, if the previous delivery had moved, then there's certainly something in it for Jake Ball here, because that was a cracking delivery.
Ball was smooth, right? Former England international, clearly Jake Ball. He delivers the ball, and Jack Haynes has gone back and he's hit it straight up in the air. Shaheen Afridi's under it and takes a comfortable catch, running back from mid-on. And Haynes has gone. Worcestershire lose their first wicket at 27. Haynes gone for 2 of 4. just short of a length, tried to pull it over the leg side, got a leading edge, top edge, and up straight up in the air, and Freedy, a tall man, just takes several paces back towards the boundary and took a comfortable catch above his head. Not the start wicket-wise Worcestershire wanted. 27 for 1, and Haynes played well the other night, but he'll be disappointed with that, I'm sure. Not had the best last 20 minutes, in fairness.
No, he put down a catch, a simple catch, in the last over of the Outlaws innings, and never got going there. And there was, I suppose, 2020 you play a certain way, and they say you've got to be brave. But I think also if the first ball of the over moved and the second one whizzed past his outside edge, then taking on the pull there might not be the brightest bit of cricket. Yeah, but then that's the way they play with the field up. 100%.
But D'Oliveira tried to, the first two balls were balls that D'Oliveira tried to pull, and neither of them he got all of, did he? It was clearly not easy with the bounce and things, and then Haynes has tried to go down the same route, and unfortunately just got whether it's stuck in the pitch, I'm not entirely sure, but he got a leading edge and it went straight up rather than travelling any distance. New man is Mitchell Santner, star man with the bat the other night, so he'll be looking to try and repeat the form he showed in that game against Lancashire. 27 for 1 then. 4 balls gone in the third over. Jake Ball with the first wicket for the Outlaws. He starts his run up from the edge of the circle, bowls round the wicket to the left-handed Santner, and it's down the leg side, and it's full length. Tom Moores manages to get a paw on it, and essentially it is a wide, but that would have been 5 wides. It would have been 4 wide, sorry, had he not have managed to get a palm out. He'd gone full length to try and grab that one. So it was speared down the leg side.
Yeah, really good work by the keeper there. Did you say full stretch?
Palmed it round the post, didn't he? Just tried to stop it, really. Ball again to Santner, and he bowls, and that looks like another cracking delivery from Jake Ball. Santner played at it and was beaten on the outside edge, and it whistled through to the Tom Moores again. It does look like it's not the easiest surface in the world. It is doing a bit, did a bit for the spinners for sure, and we felt that it looked like there might be a bit of spice in it for the seamers as well, and Jake Ball certainly extracting a bit of life.
Yeah, if you put it in the right place. Lyndon James didn't, but Jake Ball is, and importantly see this last ball out of the over out.
Ball again, final delivery of the third over. He bowls, this one watchful really from Santner, and just plays it off the back foot and drops it into the offside, and it's fielded by Hamid at backward points, and that is the end of the over. 28 for 1 Rapids after 3 overs. Going along at 9.3. Required rate is 6.6 runs per over, so they're ahead of the required run rate at this stage, but obviously with the loss of that one wicket, the very capable Jack Haynes.
Hamid looks like he's got some brand new shoes on there. They are very smart looking. As white as you could get.
Yeah, he couldn't get much whiter than that. He's got his fingers well and true. I've noticed before when I've seen him play, his fingers are absolutely taped to the hilt. And Moeen Ali was having a lot of discussion about fingers, wasn't there, with Moeen Ali this week? I don't think he'd have got away with that level of tape on his hands, that's for sure.
Well, Matt Carter's coming into the attack from the Diglis end, so a first look at spin from the Outlaws' point of view. Tall, solidly built, made 10 not out with the ball, just round the wicket, and D'Oliveira goes back, drives defensively into the offside. Afridi does the fielding, which in his maroon cap. Not sure how they got maroon caps when they're playing in
I'd wonder that.
Yellow and green. And it is the team cap, as this is pulled in the air, backward is square, and 4 runs. Poor delivery from Carter, and D'Oliveira got into position nice and early, plenty of time to just pull it round the corner. There is a fielder down there at deep square leg, but it was made more to long leg, and D'Oliveira has moved very quickly onto 27 from 14 and the score onto 32 for 1, so 108 required. 4 at the start of the over that they would have been looking for. Plays this next ball uppishly, pulling it out to deep mid wicket just for a single. Brings Santner on strike. Did well with the ball earlier on. Mitchell Santner reliable as ever, 2 for 31 from his 4 overs. Just looking at the field, the deep mid wicket's been dispatched for the left-hander. Also a long off, fine leg third man up, backward square leg, mid on, extra cover in there, just shielding his eyes from the sun. As Santner goes back, drives into the covers and there's no run. 4 men saving 1 in the offside.
Look at the field. I think he's going to be aiming to bowl pretty straight, don't you, with that, with a ring field on the offside.
Wide of the crease, and Santner goes back and cuts nicely through the offside. There weren't many gaps in that offside inside the circle, but he managed to find one, and he's off the mark with a nice boundary, and the score moves on to 37 for 1, needing further 103 at a required rate. So they've just reduced that initial run rate, required rate, which started at 7.
Even Warfielders in that offside ring.
5 of them
be across now.
So do well to pierce the field here, and he doesn't. Drop here on 28 from 15, and Santner on 4 from 5.
Yeah, and the Rapids feel very happy with the start they've made. Yes, they have lost a wicket, but be racing along at 9.2 and over, and just nearly got the target below 100 already. They'll be very happy with that. And as you say, it's the stage. Not really the done thing in T20 cricket nowadays, is it, to play sensibly? But you do kind of think, actually, if you just treat this like a normal run chase here now, you should be winning the game comfortably, shouldn't you?
Yeah, bowled an excellent first over, but from the field that's set, he can't afford to stray down the leg side here.
Ball again. He's just trying to hit that ball just short of a length, you would think, and he bowls. And D'Oliveira goes for the ramp, and it's a bit of glove on it, I think, and it just bobbles down into the leg side where Tom Moores dives and collects, and there is no run. 37 for 1 into the 5th over now. Ball, first of the Outlaws bowlers to be given a second over, but no surprise given the 2 or 3 beauties in the first over that he bowled, and also the wicket of Jack Haynes. He turns on the edge of the inner circle and bowls, jump and bowls, and D'Oliveira just backs away slightly, tries to open up the offside, but all he can do is half bat it to Seabum Heed at backward point, who fields, and no run.
Yeah, balls first.
On the leg side, he's not really got too many options either. I don't think, but he's just a decent angle, and he just, Carter it was, I think, who dived and saved it before the ball raced past him. Helped it on its way. It wasn't a full-blooded pull shot, but he helped it on its way over the mid-wicket and to the boundary for another boundary, and that brings the target for the Worcestershire Rapids to below 100. 41 for 1.
Yeah, I think there was a sign there, just stuck in the pitch a little bit, because he didn't get all of it by any means. He got enough with the field in.
He's ball again. Balls, and that's really, Donny tries to, he's moving both sort of in and out as the ball was being delivered, and he went down and just tried to ramp it into the leg side. I think he might have got a toe on the ball. He might have towed the ball off the end of his bat, didn't get the glance he was looking for, and so ended up, ball went much squarer than he was intending. So but they get through for a single. 42 for 1. Yeah, he's moving all around the crease as the ball is being delivered, I think, trying to keep Jake Ball guessing about where he's got to deliver the ball to. Santner, just the final ball of the 5th over. Ball switches to round the wicket and he bowls, and Partner glances it way off his legs very nicely, very calmly, proper cricket shot, and fielder comes in from wide fine leg on the boundary and fields, and there's just one more run to end the 5th over. Rapids 43 for 1. Brett D'Oliveira 33 off 20, Mitchell Santner 5 off 6, and run rate of 8.6 and over.
Yeah, if you can get with a target like this a boundary early in the over, then it just takes the pressure off. It means pick up the 1s and 2s and don't need to do anything extravagant, and that D'Oliveira boundary just helped them see Jake Ball's second over out, because he's been the pick of the bowlers so far of the 4 we've seen. We've got Afridi coming back, but this time at the Diglis end, because you'd feel from Stephen Mullaney's point of view he's got to get wickets here. it's unlikely they will defend 140 if it goes the distance. So he's going to need to bowl the Rapids out. They need a further 97, and here's the big overseas player in now, who's taken on the pads. Santner, ball just ricocheting down to fine leg, who's up inside the circle. Matt Carter
annoyed with himself, Santner. I think he was
there, wasn't it?
I think he just thought if he got even just a tiny bit more on it, it would have been wider Carter, and there'd have been nothing Carter could do about it.
Yeah, huge gap. He's quite fine inside the circle, and there's a deep backward point, but a huge gap between the two. Freedy, left arm over, and Santner gets inside the line. He's going to be struggling here if the ball hits. He didn't, and Mullaney threw at the stumps. Wicketkeeper couldn't get there quickly enough, but unusual that D'Oliveira is such a good runner between the wickets, and 3 times tonight there's been a mix-up. I'm not saying he's to blame, but there's clearly not been clear communication out there.
I think that's the 3rd time, isn't it? The direct hit would have just seemed, well, they wouldn't even been in the picture, would they, for 2 of them?
No.
D'Oliveira one was nowhere near, and Santner again was just hoping for the best.
Freedy, and again full-length delivery driven nicely by Santner, all on the ground to mid-on at the edge of the circle, but allowed them to come through for a single.
He's so quick, isn't he, D'Oliveira? You think he'd be looking for a single every single time, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
It's very strange.
Unusual for him to be involved in those 3, and he put that catch down earlier on, so he bowled really well. But is having put the catch down and 3 potential run-outs is very un-Brett-like. He's on strike here to a Freedy, slower delivery. It's a poor bit of fielding by Hamid at point, allows them to come through for a single. Should never have been there, and that was schoolboy stuff. No barrier, the ball went through the legs, the hands and the legs, and allowed them to come through for a single. And when you're only defending 140, you can't afford those.
Yeah, I don't think he can even claim spin, can he, on that occasion, because it was just looked like it was just rolling to him, wasn't it, in a straightforward manner.
Brings a left-handed Santner on strike. Freedy bowls and goes back, and lovely shot from Santner, proper cricket shot, drove through extra cover despite there being a couple of fielders there, picked his spot, and the ball racing to the far side of the ground where it nestles under the covers, and that takes the Rapids onto 49 for 1.
Oh, it was just caressed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't struck or hit. He just sort of leant back a little bit and just with his hands almost just caressed it through the offside, and no need to run for those. It was a lovely shot, lovely shot.
So 1 ball left in Freedy's second over. Santner has moved into double figures, 10 from 10, and next delivery just runs comfortably down to deep backward point, and that brings up the 50. It's come off exactly 6 overs, so the end of the power play, with the Rapids on 50 without loss. The 50 for the visitors came up 1 ball short of 8 overs.
Yeah, Worcestershire and Rapids will be absolutely delighted with this start, I'm sure. They obviously saw the early dismissal of Jack Haynes, but both D'Oliveira and Santner since then have played some really good stuff. We've got Stephen Mullaney being introduced to the attack. It'll be interesting. We haven't really seen a bowler of his ilk during the game so far. Very much Daryl Mitchell-esque, I think, probably, isn't he? That type of bowler. So we've seen that the spin was very effective in the Worcestershire innings, Nottinghamshire innings with the Worcestershire 3 spinners. But it'll be interesting to see what Mullaney can bring to the party. Some military medium, really, bowls, and Santner opens a face and it runs it down to just backward point and gets a single. Nice start, just a nice easy pace from Mullaney, but he'll mix it up, I'm sure, and just bowl a bit of a variety of deliveries. Just use his experience as best he can.
Yeah, nearly 37 now, Stephen Mullaney.
Great career, a good career, hasn't he?
Yeah. 184th T20 game.
Just a little short run. I mean, he's very Daryl Mitchell-esque, and he bowls. Moore's stood up to the wickets as you would expect, and D'Oliveira just defends it out into the leg side, and bowler picks it up in his follow through, and there's no run. Seagulls feeding on the scraps in the food village over the back of the D'Oliveira stand, I would suggest, Chris, looking across over there. Mulaney bowls and worked into the leg side by D'Oliveira, and the fielder comes in. Alex Hales, I think is it down there on the boundary? No, maybe not. No, Jake Ball, in fact, down at deep square leg in front of the Chestnut Marquee Fields, and there's another run to the total, 52 for 1.
Probably the perfect pace for this pitch,
yeah.
Stephen Mulaney.
Absolutely, got to get put all the pace on your shots yourself, haven't you? He bowls to Santner. Santner cuts and misses, and it's taken cleanly by Tom Moores. Stood up to the stumps. Good bowling from Mulaney.
And that's exactly what he can do. He just lulls you, and then he just puts that one with a little bit more pace into it, and lucky not to get the edge.
Mulaney again bowls. Santner defends on the front foot. Steve Mead more successful with his fielding on this occasion. Dummies to throw the stumps down at the non-strikers end where D'Oliveira was backing up, but in the end decided against it. 5 deliveries gone in Mulaney's first over. Good over so far. Bowls to Santner. And Santner this time, Santner drives, and ball comes all the way out here to the long off boundary where Shaheen Afridi picks it up in front of the commentary box and fires it back into Tom Moores. Just 3 from the over. 53 for 1 Worcestershire Rapids. 7 overs gone. 87 to win off 13 overs. Run rate required 7.8 runs per over.
Chat between the two batters here. We just looking and seeing where they are at. Run rate of 7.6, required rate 6.7, so it's more or less just ahead of where they needed to be. Matt Carter coming on at the Diglis end. He's bowled 1 over so far for 9 runs. So there's spin from him. So the batters here are going to have to put the pace on the ball themselves with Mulaney and Carter. And it's a pitch that certainly the Worcestershire, and that's out. That's driven straight back to him by Santner, who looks at the pitch and is probably saying that just stopped on him, held up, and it was a simple caught and bowled by Carter. And yeah, not happy there was Mitchell Santner, and definitely some suspicious looks at the pitch there. He's gone for just 13 tonight from 16 deliveries. And that's put just a little bit of pressure on the Rapids now, needing a further 87 to win. They're 53 for 2.
Yeah, the loss of Samit Patel for this game could actually have a big impact on the game, because obviously the 3 Worcestershire spinners bowled, well, they bowled 11 overs. They bowled 11 overs of the 20 overs, didn't they? I think, if I'm correct. And obviously they've got Carter, who's bowling at the moment. Mulaney's obviously not a spinner, but he's bowling with very little pace. And then looking around the rest of the team, I'm not sure, is Calvin Harrison a spinner? Off the top, I can't think whether Calvin Harrison is a spinner, but they may just be short in that department, because it's certainly so far for the Worcestershire Rapids has been easier when there's been a bit of pace on the ball.
Yep, that brings Adam Hose to the crease. It's been very successful, made a successful transition from Edgbaston to New Road, wearing 54. Big man, likes the big hits. What will he do here with the spinner? Carter round the wicket. Hose goes back, finds Hamid at mid wicket. Good work by the spinner here. 2 dot balls. Reverse sweep from Hose. Work for the fielder to do out on the boundary. He won't get there in front of the pavilion. And Hose gets off the mark with a boundary. Well controlled shot. It was Matt Montgomery trying to get round to it, but well placed by Hose. And he's up and running with 4 from 2. 57 for 2.
So low risk, isn't it, for the cricketers nowadays?
Yeah.
That's just so easy.
What will he do here? In fact, he's beaten outside the off stump there. The Moores was interested in appealing, but nothing from the bowler. But just put a little bit more onto that one. Just fizz through to the wicket keeper. It took Hose by surprise. His next delivery sweeps nicely. There's a fielder down on the square leg boundary, but he's made a mess of it. It looks as though it was a good stop initially, but Montgomery, I think it was down there, was it?
Probably Lyndon James, I think. I was just trying to not sure whether it is.
But made a hash of it anyway, and it's 4 more at deep backward square leg.
Yeah, I think
for
it's Lyndon James, I think.
the Rapids. Yeah, Montgomery's on the other side, isn't he? So 8 from the over so far, and then make that 9 as Hose picks up a single after the last ball to move the score onto 62 for 2. So a further 79 to win at 6.5 and over. Hose is on 9, D'Oliveira 35, the 2 men out, Haynes for 2, Santner for 13, a wicket for Ball and a wicket for Carter.
Yeah, good old school cricket there from Adam Hose. Took his couple of boundaries and then just took a couple of boundaries from the over, and then off the final ball just nudged a single into the leg side and got himself down the other end. Good old-fashioned values there, I reckon, being displayed in a very modern game, which T20 cricket is. So Mullaney is going to continue from the New Road End. No surprise there after an extremely successful first over where he only went for 3. 62 for 2 Rapid. The Rapids need 78 off the remaining 12 overs. Hose, I'm sure, will be looking to carry on. 9 off 5 as it stands. Mullaney trundles in and bowls. Beats Hose, who tried to work it into the leg side, and it just bounced and hit him above the pad. And you could just feel it's almost just teasing and taunting the Worcestershire players to try and play a full-blooded shot at him, because he's offering no pace at all for them to work with. Mullaney bowls again. Oh, and it might be an inside edge, I think. I mean, inside edge potentially, or has it just gone straight through the wicketkeeper? No, it's byes. I think it might have jagged back, maybe a little tiny bit over the top of the over the top of the stumps, through Moores, not touched by Moores, and rushes away to the boundary for 4 byes. Worcestershire will clearly take them, but a good piece of bowling from Mullaney. Yep.
The Duckworth-Lewis score is always worth looking at, and when you're on a run chase, and at this stage or at the end of the over it would be 57. And at the moment they're on 66.
He delivers again, and he's back Hose, and he cuts into the offside. It'll just be 1 run, I think, and Alex Hales or Calvin Harrison in fact comes off the deep point boundary and fields the ball, and just in that now almost expected way, 1 bounce throw into the wicketkeeper Moores. Bring D'Oliveira down onto strike. He's starved a little bit of the strike, you'd have to say, of late, so good to get facing. Got 35 off 23 so far. Looked in good touch again. Mullaney bowls, and driven by D'Oliveira straight back to the bowler. There's a groan or two in the crowd, but I think it was a bump ball, not a dropped catch. Certainly there's no heads in the hands from the Outlaws players. And he turns again. 2 balls to go in the 9th over. Bowls, and it pulled by Brett D'Oliveira. Didn't get all of it, and for a split second it looked like it was just going to pop straight into the hands of Hasib Hamid at mid-wicket, but he just got enough. I think it hit high on the bat. Felt like it was close to the sticker at the top of his bat, wasn't it? And it luckily he just got enough on it to be out of the reach of Hamid at mid-wicket, and it's just 1 more run to the total. 68 for 2. Mullaney completes his over, and a good solid forward defensive shot from Adam Hose, which goes straight back to the bowler, who takes his cap from the umpire. That is the end of the 9th over. Worcestershire require 72 to win, and they are 68 for 2.
Yep, tidy stuff by Mullaney. As I was saying before, he's the perfect pace for this pitch. Means that the batters have got to go looking for him if they want to score runs, if they were looking for boundaries, and D'Oliveira almost fell into the trap there. But, another change in the bowling.
Calvin Harrison, he looks like a spin. It looks like their 3rd slow bowling option, doesn't he?
Yep. So we'll see what he can, or if he can get anything out of the pitch. Tall man, D'Oliveira facing up to him, just tweaking the field. There's a deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep cover, 3rd man fine leg up, and a backward point. D'Oliveira drives defensively back to the bowler, who just had to veer off to the leg side to field, and there's no run.
Looks like leg spin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's only wristy, isn't it?
Just coming off at 3 paces. D'Oliveira sweeps in the air. He's going to be caught down on the boundary, is he? Yes, he is. Hamid has taken the catch, and well, again fallen into the trap there. He's gone to the longest part of the ground. D'Oliveira didn't get enough on it, and well, a good knock comes to an end. 36 from 27. but a valuable wicket has gone down, and that just starts to build the pressure on the batters still to come. And again, was that the shot to go for when you only need 6.5 and over? But he went for it. He's fallen, and a good bowling change, because 3 balls into his, in fact 2 balls into his first over, Harrison has taken the wicket, and the Rapids are now 68 for 3, and the Duckworth Lewis score 66, so nothing in it.
As you say, it's a long boundary out on the side towards the cathedral, and Hasib Hamid he's a good 15 yards in off that boundary, isn't he? Even before the ball's delivered, and Brett D'Oliveira picked him out perfectly. He had to come in a few yards, took a low catch. It was a split second whether I wonder he'd misjudged it, but he didn't misjudge it, sadly, from a Worcestershire perspective, and he took a comfortable catch. So yeah, Kashif Ali, the new man. And he just a little job to do here. Yeah,
he might fancy this. Just work the ball around, and well, having said that, first delivery, he's hit it over extra cover for 4. So I think that's the 3rd time this season I've seen him get off the mark with a boundary. A couple of times he's done it with a 6 there. He's done it with a 4. Safe shot with no fielder out there. But as I was saying, I thought this might be just his kind of situation. He's a wristy player.
Yeah, wristy. Yeah.
Nurdled the ball around against the spinners. It gets a leading edge here, safe, and we'll pick up a single to deep mid on. But not in total control there. It wasn't a chance. The bowler did dive down, but little moral victory for the bowler there. 73 for 3, so a further 67 required. Situation like this is about clocking them down in 10s, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing spectacular. Hose goes back to the next delivery, cuts through point, and we'll pick up a single, fielded by Matt Montgomery.
If you were left with this total now in a 50 over game, you'd probably just play it fairly sensibly, wouldn't you? But T20 just, people seem to think differently, don't you? It's about the win, isn't it, in circumstances like this, I would say. Maybe I'm being a grumpy old man there, maybe, Chris, I don't know.
No, well, just going to, after this delivery, as Kashif has plenty of time, the ball just stopped, I think, in the pitch and bounced up nicely for him to just have plenty of time to pull it for a single down to deep mid-wicket, end of the over, 75 for 3 at the midway point, so need a further 65 from 10 with 7 wickets in hand. I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
You shouldn't really give them a sniff, should we?
No.
That's if you play it sensibly, you shouldn't really be giving your opposition a sniff. But T20 just seems to be done differently, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if they pick up seven boundaries, that's 28 of the 65 they need, which is less than 1 and over. But what they don't want to do is put the batters to come under pressure. Mullaney starts a new over.
Yes, Mullaney starts a new over. Sorry, I was just actually made me look to see who were the batters to come. Then I was just trying to say we've got Ben Cox, haven't we, and then Ed Pollock to come. Oh, sorry, Chris, I deserted you there for a split second while I was trying to work out who the next 2 batters were. Yes, Mullaney bowling from the New Road end again. 1 ball gone in the 11th over. Bowling to Hose now. Hose gives himself a little bit of room. Mullaney goes full. And Hose digs it out and manages to get it down to Shaheen Afridi here on the long on boundary. 77 for 3 Worcestershire. 63 required off 58 deliveries, so they're in the box seat if they just play this sensibly. Mullaney bowls, Kashif Ali pulls into the leg side, good shot. Going to reach the fielder, 1 bounce, Jake Ball fields, excellent bit of fielding there, quickly covered the ground round to his left and fielded the ball on the bounce and hoyed it into the stumps over the top to Tom Moores. Just the 1 run, Kashif Ali, 7 off 5. Again, a wristy stroke from Kashif Ali, as is his trademark since he's arrived at New Road. Mullaney again, bowls. And Hose drives nicely on the up on this occasion into the offside. Alex Hales comes round from long off and fields well. Fields it well until the throw, which was a bit wide of Tom Moores and had to be backed up by the short fine leg, but no damage done from a Nottinghamshire perspective. 79 for 3 the Rapids now. 4 balls gone in the 11th over. Mullaney's 3rd over this one, And there's Kashif Ali, tries to work it into the leg side, and he's hit on the pad and it just drops down in front of him, and there's no run. Mulaney's, bowled well here, but he has only got 6 to 7 deliveries left, and then, Nottinghamshire are going to have to go back to some of their seamers. And that did seem a little easier. Here's a final ball of the 11th over. And Kashif Ali has tried to whip it away on the leg side, missed it completely, and the middle stump is pegged back, and Worcestershire lose their 4th wicket at 79. And as we were saying, Chris, is that entirely necessary at this point in time? I'm not so sure it is, but that is the way the game is played nowadays. He tried to whip it into the leg side, clearly across the line, and Mulaney has just fed it through him. Even with his military medium, he's done him, and it's through. And that is the 4th wicket. 11 overs gone. Duckworth Lewis score is 81, and Worcestershire are on 79 for 4. I'm not in any way suggesting we're going to have rain, but as you say, that's often a good sense of where the balance of the game lies.
Yeah, not the shot that was called for there. As I said, for me it was tailor-made for Kashif Ali to just, he's got Hose at the other end, who's more than capable of the big shots if required, whereas Kashif Ali could nurdle the ball around, pick up his 1s and 2s. There's no pressure on, but it's just started to creep up towards 7 and over again now, so which is what they wanted at the start. They got well ahead, but lost wickets at 53, 68, 79 as a new over starts. I've seen the last of the sunshine for today as Hose looks for a single off the first ball of Harrison's over, but drives into the offside.
Knots will just keep chipping away, won't they? They keep getting a wicket every 10, 12, 15 runs. Suddenly 120, 125 for 7 or 125 for 8. They're right in the game, aren't they?
Yep. So Hose will pick up a single to the next delivery, driving nicely all along the ground to wide, long off. It takes the score on to 80 for 4. Batting still to come after Cox. There's just Pollock, Osama Mir, Matthew Waite, Dylan Pennington, Pat Brown, so plenty of batting there. Yeah. But the nerves will be jangling a little bit, you'd feel, at the moment, as they bowled round his legs, and Cox is, the shot for Cox is always going to be the sweep, and they set that one up nicely for him, bowled around his legs, and he's gone for a duck, golden duck at that, and now the Rapids are in trouble, are in danger of giving this one away. They're 5 wickets down for 80. They still need 60, and now that run rate has pushed above 7 for the first time. And some careless batting. And Ed Pollock coming to the wicket. He's been struggling this season with the bat. Is this the day he's going to come good and see the Rapids home? But disappointment for Ben Cox. And more often than not, Cox will sweep. And, they realise that, and he's been bowled. It bowled him round his legs, didn't it? Sweeping. So whether it has gripped and turned and done him round his leg, he looked suitably surprised that the ball had gone into his stumps, but noticeably didn't move a long way across. Certainly in his, in the movement as the ball was delivered. So I don't know whether it has gripped and turned a little bit and has bowled him round his legs, but I thought Cox might be the man to just sensibly guide Worcester home. But he's gone now, and as you say, the out of form Pollock now has got a job on. Left-handed Pollock does get off the mark, going across and whipping the ball and to deep mid-wicket. Not a great throw in from Afridi, but no extras conceded, so this is a good spell from Harrison. He's in his 2nd over, and 1.4 overs, 2 for 9. He comes again. Hose, you feel a lot rests on his shoulder as he drives defensively into the offside. Afridi shapes to throw down the stumps at the bowler's end, just checking that Pollock was back. But a bit of pressure now. 7.2 required. Hose back, will pick up a single. Think of 2 out to deep mid-wicket, but now they're on the toes. The Outlaws fielders. Hamid there was onto it quickly and restricted them to 1. Hose will keep the strike, but 12 overs completed. 58 still to win now. 82 for 5 with Hose on 15, Pollock on 1, and the batting still to come. Osama Mir, Matthew Waite, Dylan Pennington and Pat Brown. Yeah, no, it's
six more deliveries from Mulaney here. He's been really effective. He called it on this pitch. He could exactly be the sort of bowler that's required, and he's been really, really effective so far. So interesting to see how Hose plays this. Is it just a case of chipping away, trying to 6 singles and then trying to punish a bad ball, or how he'll play it? He bowls. It's down the leg side, and it's really well taken by Tom Moores. It will be a wide, but Moores looked like he had to go a long way down the leg side to gather that one. He was almost sliding by the time he got it. So good piece of work from a wicketkeeper. Definitely saved his side 3 runs. Mulaney comes again. He bowls, and Hose just carefully and calmly plays it into the offside to take a single.
Yeah, he's batting sensibly at the moment. Hose not looking for the big shots.
Take the game deep, haven't you? And then if you need, you've suddenly got to score 8 and over in the last 4 overs. It's a very different scenario, isn't it? But you've got to put yourself in that position where you've got that chance. So
well, it's Mulaney's last over, isn't it?
It is.
3 overs, 1 for 9.
Mulaney comes in again. Pollock this time on strike over the wickets, and he bowls, and Pollock whips it nicely away into the leg side for 1 run. It's Alex Hales, I think, who comes in. No, it's not Alex Hales. It's Calvin Harrison who comes in off the boundary at mid-wicket. Exactly, it's a very similar shape to Alex Hales. That's about the 3rd time he's caught me out there on the far side. There is again 2 singles to start the over. Sensibly played by the Rapids, I would say. Mulaney bowls. Hose, big drive into the offside, straight through the man. I think it's Lyndon James who's in the cover region inside the circle. He's dived, but it's beaten him, and he's got it to the boundary, which is a much needed boundary for the Worcestershire Rapids. But again, it just means you can take a bit more speed, more sensible about the rest of the over. But it's a really good shot from Hose, on to 20 off 18, playing a good hand so far, and needs to just continue in the same vein here. Mulaney again bowls down the leg side. It's a wide, big appeal from the wicketkeeper down the leg side. It was a terrific take by Tom Moores, really good take, because it was almost a half volley. It looked like almost a half volley when it got to him. The old appeal for a catch, both him and Mulaney, the bowler, in the attempt to talk the umpire out of it being a wide, but they were greeted with the outstretched arms of the umpire, and another run to the Rapids total. Up to 90 now, 50 required, exactly 50. Mulaney bowls, and off the back foot, Hose just nudges it into the leg side where it's fielded by Hasib Hamid, and there's no run.
You just look at deep backward square at the moment, and he's just sliding the ball down. You wonder if Hose might just flick one down there. Just needs to be aware of the fielder.
Mulaney in again. Hose gives himself a little bit of room and cuts, and Lyndon James is quick on his feet and slides round and grabs the ball, but they can still rush through for a single to bring Pollock back down on strike. 1 ball to go. In fact, no, 1 ball to go in the 13th over. Hose goes to 21.
And that was the way to take that man out of the equation there, by just stepping back and playing it through the offside.
Mulaney again to Pollock. Pollock whips it into the low side. Lovely, lovely shot, actually, really well timed. Just the 1 run for it, but it's in the ball twice. He's now whipped the ball into the leg side very cleanly. Excellent spell from the Nottinghamshire Outlaws captain. 4 over spell from this new road end, caused all sorts of problems just with the lack of pace on the ball, and then Worcestershire batters having to make up their minds about how they were going to play it. So he'll be delighted with that. But that's a good positive for Worcestershire, that is probably his spell is done as well, to be honest.
Yeah, 1 for 18 from 4 overs. Excellent work from him. So Matt Carter coming back on at the Diglis end. So it's bowling to the left-handed Pollock, who flicks this nicely. Should get a couple out to deep mid-wicket. There's room, a lot of ground for a freebie to make up, and it's a nice way to get the over underway for Pollock. 2 comfortable runs. Takes the required runs down to 46.
It's a wide open expanse of space there, isn't it? As long as he doesn't hit it too cleanly, there's 2 there every time.
Well, it's beaten here, and I think it might have just nipped the edge, did it? Says down to 3rd man up inside the circle. Yeah, did catch the edge, perfectly safe, but hurried onto him a little bit there.
It's definitely a sporting pitch, isn't it? There's definitely a bit in it. The batters aren't having an easy ride, that's for sure.
And what will Hose do here against the spin? Plenty of fielders out on the boundary, but plays sensibly. Back to the bowler. Just nice drive. Just has a look at the field. You'll see a deep backward point, long on, log off, deep mid-wicket, sweeps nicely, but straight to the fielder at deep backward square. But still the scoreboard ticks over, takes the required runs down to 44. 2 balls left in this over.
He looks got the look of a man, Adam Hose, who looks like he wants to be there at the end, doesn't he? The way he's played so far. So
slip has come in for Pollock, who turns this nicely onto the leg side. Just stepped across, found Hamid, Afridi, I should say, coming off the boundary mid wicket. So 1 ball left in the over. Required rate exactly 7. 43. Again, tick off the 3, get it down into the 30s. And they won't hear us, but they might get an extra, will they? But just looking at the umpires, an appeal for a stumping, not out. So he might have just flipped the pad on the way through there. Hose doesn't look convinced, but it is the end of the over. No run, 97 for 5. So 6 overs remaining, 43 required at nudge over 7.
Yeah, Adam Hose was very, very unimpressed. He didn't get a wide there, wasn't he? He held his arms out as if to say, hang on a minute, and then did it again as he walked down towards Ed Pollock at the end of the over, just querying how it was. And as you say, if it didn't flick the pad, you would have thought it must have been a wide, because it was down the leg side, wasn't it? In fairness, but umpire was certain, and the umpire's word is final, so it was no wide.
Which indicates it was very close to the stumps.
Yes, absolutely right, yes. 43 required off 36 deliveries for the Rapids to get another much needed victory in the T20 blast. Harrison now has come on at this new road end, bowling his leg spin, really affected from the Diglas end in his first 2 overs. And Ed Pollock bunts him down the ground just for a straightforward single to start the over. To bring Hose down onto strike. Hose remarks his guard. Different guard required with it being a leg spinner, I guess. But yeah, settles in and has a good look around. Lots of singles and potential 2s on the leg side, but obviously the ball's being spun away from him. Harrison delivers. Hose works it into the leg side, just wide of Shaheen Afridi here at long on, who hurls the ball back in wide of the stumps, but there's some good backing up from Stephen Mullaney. Harrison beaten by the throw. They're interesting, the purple caps, aren't they? Or the clarity coloured caps. Very not really befitting with the green and yellow kit that they're wearing this evening. Harrison again, this time to Pollock. 2 singles off the first 2 balls. Pollock sweeps, gets a good piece of that actually, and the fielder sweeping round from deep fine leg. From fine leg right on the boundary, fields it well, gets it back in, but they scamper through for 2. Good stuff. Probably good for Pollock really. The ball, in theory, spinning back into him, so it is easier for the left-hander to go that way, but it is the long side of the ground today. They're just changing the field a little bit, haven't they? They've now moved a fine leg in, a short fine leg, and brought the fine leg wider at deep square. This one bowled again on the leg stump, may have got away with that, I think, Harrison. It was just a little bit quicker though, and it was quicker on to Pollock, and Pollock, I think, eyes lit up when he saw the line and the length, but it just skidded through a little bit. 101 for 5, so the 100 up for Worcestershire Rapids, 39 to win. On the back foot, Pollock cuts it, but he can't beat the man who's fielding at cover inside the circle, Jake Ball. 1 ball to come in the 15th over. Worcestershire 101 for 5, requiring 39 to win. Harrison again, bowls to Pollock. Pollock cuts really well through the offside. Fielder sweeping round, really good fielding that's going to be, but that's excellent running from the Worcestershire pair there. The ball was almost in his hand there when Ed Pollock called, but Montgomery's throw, he had a good throw in from the boundary, but Pollock made good ground to get in comfortably despite it being a brilliant throw from the boundary. End of the 15th over here at New Road. 103 for 5 Worcestershire Rapids, chasing 140 to win. They need 37 off the final 30 deliveries.
Yep. You would feel with 5 wickets in hand they should get home, but that required rate is up at 7.4 now. So they could do with an over with a couple of boundaries to get that required runs down into the 20s. Just take a little bit of pressure off.
Yeah.
It's Carter, I think.
Yeah, still.
It's bowling from the Diglas end. Hose just turns him nicely, nice little flick down to fine leg, who's up inside the circle, Joe Clark. Not seen much of him in the field, and Alex Hales has had the quietest night out, hasn't he?
He has.
Hardly touched it in the field and was out second delivery with the bat. So Pollock on strike, a slip comes in. It's a Yorker that he digs out through point for a single, and that's the way. Keep that scoreboard ticking over.
Carter's into his final over, isn't he? And Harrison has got one to come, and then they've got to go back to the seamers. So if you're taking the game deep, then that's kind of where you're looking, isn't it?
Yeah. Not great light at the moment. As next ball is driven nicely to long on for a single by Hose. 34 required. 105 for 6. Pollock is on 13. He's on strike, the left-hander. He's got a deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, long on. Comes inside though, hits over the top. He may get 4 here over extra cover. The ball's racing to the boundary. That's just what he and the Rapids need. It's taken the required runs, the runs required down to 30. 110 for 5. 2 balls left in this 16th over.
Just sensible cricket. It was a poor delivery. Short sat up, and he didn't try and overhit it, did he? He just got good bat on it, up and over the cover fielder, and away at race for 4.
Just play sensibly here, but try not to overhit. In fact, there's a quicker delivery from Carter. It's trying to work it way on the leg side, got nothing on it, and it was fumbled by Moores, who's kept very tidily this evening. Last ball of the over. Pollock turns it onto the leg side, and will pick up an easy single. Long on, coming off the boundary to field to 2/3 of the way in, and that's the end of the 16th over. So the required runs coming from that over, 8 in fact coming from it. It's taken the required rate down to 7.2, 29 required from the last 4. Pollock has 18, Hose has 25. It's 111 for 5.
Yeah, just quietly putting themselves back in the box seat. Worcestershire Rapids, you would say, as with the 5 wickets remaining. Chris, you're dead right. They, more often than not, you'd be saying you should get home from here. But Shaheen Afridi returning to the attack. No success so far, despite bowling with decent pace. So interesting again to see how the Rapids play this. 29 required off 24 deliveries, so still chipping away, and just that 7.2 required per over. Yeah,
and Afridi can bowl the last 2, can't he, from this end?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you'd think Jake Ball, the way he bowled, would be the favourite to bowl the 2 from the other end. Obviously they've got Lyndon James as well, but Ball definitely the most impressive of the three out and out seam bowlers on show. So yes, it's going to be Pollock facing up to Shaheen Afridi, who bowls from the New Road end, and Pollock, big swipe at this one from Pollock, and he gets a lot of it, but a lot of the outside edge, and it goes up and over the short third man and races away towards the family stand for 4 runs. Good start to the over, not in control of it, but he won't care, I wouldn't have thought. He got a lot of it in terms of the outside edge of the bat, and it raced away to the boundary. The fielders are up. There's a short third man and a short and a sort of backward point up inside the ring that side, and he was if you're going to swing hard, I think, is the old-fashioned parlance. And
well, he'll prefer the pace. He's not comfortable against the spin, so he'll throw everything at Afridi, you'd feel here.
Yeah, 22 now off 16 deliveries from Pollock, playing a good little hand as it's Afridi bowls again. Good Yorker this time. It's dug out by Pollock, and they're going to come back for 2 because of such a good ball. It was such a good Yorker that he dug it out, but he only dug it out with the toe of his bat, and it had no pace at all as it ran out to Alex Hales who had a lot of distance to ground from long on, and Hose turned, and he was pretty sure he was getting 2 back to the bowler's end, and Pollock answered the call and got back comfortably there. So 6 off the first 2 deliveries of this Shaheen Afridi over, which has just put Worcestershire just 1 behind the... No, hang on, is that 23 required now? 23 off 22, so going well. Afridi bowls again to Pollock, and it's a bouncer on this occasion, and Pollock, I think, probably very sensibly ducks under it. It's not been an easy pitch to pull on from what we've seen so far, so probably a very sensible decision. That'll be the one from the over at Pollock.
Yeah, light's going down quickly, isn't it?
Quick bouncer as well, wasn't it, in this line? Quick bouncer at any time of day, let alone when it's getting a little bit darker. So played it comfortably though, Pollock. Afridi halfway through the 17th over. 117 for 5, the Rapids. It goes past the umpire and bowls, and it's driven by Ed Pollock, and it's a lovely shot. It's driven on the up, straight back over Shaheen Afridi's head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bounces again for 4, almost dead straight from where we are by the looks of things. A really, really good cricket shot. Good signs from Ed Pollock. If you're scoring in that area, you're probably feeling okay about your game.
Well, he likes the pace. That's the important thing. And once he went through with the shot there, it's always going to be 4. And the important thing, well, it's all important, but you get the required runs, the runs required down below 20, and you feel the odd boundary here, and it's suddenly.
Yeah, it's quite a safe shot, wasn't it? The mid-off's up, the long on's back, but the mid-off's up, and he's just got to get it. But that was straight enough. It wasn't either player was no getting it. Another good Yorker from Afridi. Great bit of fielding actually in close on the offside. Joe Clark, I think it is, in at shortish cover on the offside. Got one hand on it. If it had got past him, it was at least 2. It may well even have been 4. So good bit of fielding from Joe Clark, who, as you say, Chris, has been very, very quiet in the field, hasn't he? Haven't really seen him at all. 1 ball to go then in the 17th over. Rapids require 19 off 19 as it stands, with 5 wickets remaining in, so should really see it home from here. But it's a funny game, cricket. In comes Afridi again to Pollock. Pollock pulls the ball away into the leg side along the ground, so no risk in terms of a cat, and I think that's Calvin Harrison. Runs around and fields, gets it back in. End of the over. That's the 17th gone. 122 for 5. Worcester require 18 off 18 deliveries, with Pollock on 29 off 21, and Adam Hose playing a very sensible hand on 25 off 26.
Yeah, and a big over coming up, you feel, here with Jake Ball coming back. He's bowled 2 overs, taken 1 for 10, and if he keeps it tight, that builds the pressure for the last couple. But if they can get him away and say pick up 8 off the over, then that will just should see them almost home. But
you'd like to think you'll get 2 or 3 hittable balls in the last 18,
yeah,
won't you? So you take your toll of those, but
yeah,
then just try and chip it around for singles and the odd 2, and just play.
Yeah, he's got to be accurate because fine leg and third man are up. Bowling from the Diglis end, coming round the wicket to the left-handed Pollock. In fact, he dead ball called by the umpire, didn't deliver it there. Not sure if he was looking at Hose backing up, was he?
No, I'm not sure.
Or just lose his run up.
Yeah, he seemed quite right, I think, when he got there. I don't think there was any suggestion he was. It was an early man-cad warning, but yeah. But Hose didn't certainly look like he was breaking into a sprint, did he, as he was delivering the ball?
But it's not bright out there at the moment. They won't want a new batter coming out, as the first delivery is wide outside the off stump. Pollock sensibly had nothing to do with it, just left it, and called by the umpire. So runs required down to 18. That's under 6 and over now, 5.6, so 17 off 3 overs. Again, this is so often a little edge down to third man, which isn't. There's nobody marshalling down there. Would go down well from a Rapids point of view, and way through everything at that did Pollock, and got into a bit of a tangle, beaten outside the off stump, taken by Moores.
A little slower, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was well and truly through the shot before it arrived, I think.
Just a chat here between wicketkeeper and Matt Carter, saying should he perhaps come a little bit finer. But now he's gone back to the edge of the circle at third man. Fine leg is fine. Clark inside. Pollock, nice shot, straight past the bowler. Couple of bounces into the D'Oliveira stand for 4, so that relieves a little bit of pressure after that dot ball. Means it's 13 required now from 2.5 overs.
Just kept his shape, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just kept his shape, solid base, through the line of the ball. 4 runs, just what the doctor ordered from Worcestershire Rapids' perspective. And just whereas the previous ball, he threw everything at it, didn't he? Swung himself up, almost swung himself off his feet.
33 from 23 for Pollock. Just what was required, and he goes back and will pick up a single here, cutting through the gap in the offside. Fielded at deep cover by Calvin Harrison. So 1 more to Pollock. Hose on strike. Unusually 25 from 26 for him, but he's been doing the right thing, picking up the odd boundary, the ones and twos, and leaving it to Pollock at the other end. And this, if Pollock can see them home, will be an important knock for him after what's been a disappointing season to date.
Just
can they see it through?
Just given off an air of calm, hasn't he?
He has.
The time since he's been out. I don't want to do the commentator curse here, do I, at this stage? But he just has looked like he wants to be in control.
12 required. Over the wicket to the right-hander. Short on the leg side, helped on its way by Hose. They'll only get one though. Good bit of fielding down on the boundary at deep square leg. Good work. Saved 3 runs for sure there. Any kind of fumble and that would have gone over the rope.
They got back for 2 actually, Chris, looking at it.
They have, yeah, excellent work. Yeah, I was watching the fielder. So saved a couple, 10 to win.
It's one of those you just could see he had to get, but he set off knowing he was still getting to his feet, and he just felt, I think he wouldn't be able to set himself to get the throw in. It was really good running, really alert running.
Well judged. Hose on to 27. Ball just wanting a change in the field. He's just asking deep square leg to just go backwards a little bit, right on the boundary. Hose. So ball up in the block hole and just digs it out nicely. We'll pick up a single to Clark at inside the circle. Well, fielded at a backward point, come round from third man. So down into single figures, 9 required. 131 for 5. 1 ball left in this 18th over. Just need to be sensible. No need for the 6s here unless it's a rank delivery. Pick up what they can. Ball comes round the wicket to the left-hander, and this is in the air. 1 bounce down to wide long on. They'll come through for 2. In fact, he's dropped it over the boundary, has it? He has. And that was Hamid down there. Poor fielding, and bonus runs there for the Rapids, because with 2 overs left they now need just 5 to win. They're 135 for 5. That's taken Pollock onto 38, Hose on 28.
He's a little bit unlucky, I think, this evening, because he ran round the boundary and it bounced up, and he almost tried to palm it back in as his momentum was taking him over the boundary, and he did palm it back in, but I think it then landed in the field of play and then just rolled slightly onto the rope. So he was a little unfortunate, because he had, he made decent ground to it and tried to get there, but from a Worcestershire point of view, that's not to concern them, that's for sure. So as you say, 2 overs to go, 5 to win. You would say without doing the world's worst pun there, home and host, but you should hopefully see it home from 9, shouldn't they?
Partnership 55 between these two.
It's been a really good partnership actually. Had Pollock coming in, man without a lot of form behind him in recent times. Actually, he's played really well from the start since he's come in, I would say. It's a couple of crisp balls through the leg side, didn't he, in his first 2 or 3 runs, and it just seemed, he's hitting that all right there, to be fair. Comes Afridi to bowl. Just a little tweak to the field. He set off, but now he's having another reconsider and sending Hasiba Mead out to fine leg. Joins he's one of 3 fielders on the leg side boundary, a deep square leg and a deep mid wicket as well. Where Afridi bowls to Hose. Hose gives himself a bit of room and just guides it away down to third man. Oh, there's a fumble down at third man. Poor bit of fielding down at third man. That's potentially a sign that Nottinghamshire feel it might well be done. It just bobbled a little bit maybe, but that's no excuse. It was just a straightforward bit of fielding and he missed it, and Hose and Pollock were alert and just turned, and Hose came back for the second run. So the runs required is down to 3 off the remaining 11 deliveries.
I don't think either side would be particularly happy with their fielding today.
Yeah, the vast majority of it was okay, wasn't it? And it's just at the crucial moment it just drifted a little bit. In comes Afridi again to Hose, and it's pulled by Hose. Short ball pulled. They're definitely going to get at least 2 here, I think. Yep, they will come back for 2, which will bring the scores level. Didn't get all of it by any means. Again, it hit it high on the bat. It definitely hasn't been an easy pitch to play the pull shot on, all those flat batted shots on, but got enough on it, and it just beat Lyndon James inside the Montgomery, inside the circle, and that is the scores level. Rapids require 1 to win. They're 139 for 5. Freedy's gone round the wicket, which may be the last delivery of the night. I wanted it to go on much longer this evening because it is very, very dark. I don't know how dirty our window is, Chris, but it is dark, isn't it? Round the wicket, Afridi bowls to Hose. Hose pulls, gets enough on it, pulls it away through the leg side. That'll be 4 runs. That's going to the boundary. In fact, it might not quite make it to the boundary, but it's kind of irrelevant. Hose punches the air, comes back for 2 runs. Worcestershire Rapids win by 5 wickets with 10 deliveries to spare. In the end, a comfortable victory. A few little worrying moments during the run chase, especially when they went to 80 for 5 after some good bowling by Stephen Mullaney and Calvin Harrison. But as it stands, a much needed and excellent win for the Rapids ahead of trip to Birmingham Bears tomorrow night. Puts them level on points, I think, with Nottinghamshire at the top, towards the top of the T20 Blast Southern Table. That's Northern Table, sorry, and an excellent win, Chris.
Yeah, 60, that last wicket, the partnership for the 6th wicket to see the Rapids home. They only get the 1 run.
I was going to say
the final ball there. But they were struggling a little bit at 80 for 5, having lost the wickets at 53, 68, 79 and 80, but sensible batting. And I think that could be a big innings for Ed Pollock. He's finished 38 not out from 25 balls, Hose 33 from 31. And that was good, sensible batting. Who took the conditions into consideration at the boundaries at the right time. And Pollock looks very happy with that, just waving to someone in the crowd. He's been desperate for a knock, and the important thing about that knock is not only has he got himself into a little bit of form, but he's seen Worcestershire home, or the Rapids home, to a big victory against the Outlaws, who were second in the table, and going into that big game tomorrow. I'll just go through the Rapids scorecard for you. Jack Haynes was caught a 3D bowled ball for 2. Mitch Santner caught and bowled by Carter for 13. Brett D'Oliveira caught Hamid off Harrison for 36. Kashif bowled by Mullaney for 7. Ben Cox was bowled by Harrison, first ball for 0. And then that partnership of 60 between Pollock, who made 38, and Hose, who made 33, saw them home with 8 balls to spare. Just see if I can give you the Outlaws bowling figures. A Freedy 3.3 overs, no wickets for 25. James 1 over for 22. That was just what the Rapids needed at the start of the innings to get them going. Jake Ball, he bowled well, 1 for 23 from 3. Carter 4 overs, 1 for 31. Mullaney, excellent spell from him, 4 overs, 1 for 18. And Calvin Harrison, good spell from him as well. The spinner, 2 for 16 from 3. Just to go through the Nottinghamshire batting, well, top scorer was Matthew Montgomery. The rest didn't really contribute too much. Carter made 14 at the end. Joe Clark made 19, and there was 31 not out from Tom Moores. The Rapids bowling figures, good, excellent work from Pennington, 1 for 19. Santner 2 for 31. Brown 2 for 44, and Lucky 2 catches put down off him. Osama Mir again 1 for 9.
They've won more games than us.
Conquistando el juego, la saco de la cancha, somos de lanza. Hoy tengo la fuerza de mis ancestros. Esta victoria siempre ha sido nuestra. Vamos a brillar. La victoria es mía, mía. Tengo la buena energía.
Seguir jugando con esfuerzo, no se acaba el partido. Defendemos la batalla y la peleamos con hambre. Para ser el orgullo de mi tierra y mi madre. Ya no hay nada que me pueda detener. Camino hacia la cima, no pierdo la fe. Estaba por nuestra gente.
अरे बेटा,
मामा,
सुबह सुबह कहाँ जा रहे हो?
करिश्मा को लाने जा रहा हूँ।
बहू को? अभी 2 दिन तो हुए उससे मायके गए हुए।
2 दिन 2 साल जैसा नहीं लग रहा। और बारिश भी आने वाली है।
तेरे आने पे जाने क्यों मेरी दुनिया ठहर जाए, तू जाए तो जाने क्यों तेरा चेहरा नजर आए। हर सुबह घर से निकलूं किसी और जगह जाने को, पर राह वो ले लेता हूँ जो तेरे घर जाए। मैं भीगना चाहता हूँ तेरे प्यार की बरसातों में, कहीं बीत न जाए सावन इसी गुजारिश में। मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में। दिल दिल नहीं रहा मेरा तेरी चाहत में, दिल दिल नहीं रहा मेरा तेरी चाहत में। मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में। बरसातों में मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, पहली बारिश में। टकराए तेरी जुल्फों से जो छलक जाए, पानी में आग ही लग जाए इस भीगी रात में। इसमें मेरी कोई गलती नहीं, कभी चलती है कभी चलती नहीं, धड़कन ये मेरी संभलती नहीं जब तू हो साथ में। आंखें न खोलो इस डर से तेरा ख्वाब टूट ना जाए, क्या हाल कर दिया मेरा तेरी ख्वाहिश ने। मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में। दीवाना 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 चाहत में तेरी मैं दीवाना हो, दीवाना 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 चाहत में तेरी मैं दीवाना। होठों की ये नरमियाँ, सावन की ये बिजलियाँ, आँखों में खोने दो होती है होने दो थोड़ी हंसी गलतियाँ। बादल आज बरस जा मेरी सिफारिश में, बादल आज बरस जा मेरी सिफारिश में। मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में। दिल दिल नहीं रहा मेरा तेरी चाहत में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में। तारे ढूंढा करता हूँ बड़ी बरसातों में, मैं हो गया हूँ दीवाना पहली बारिश में, मैं हो गया हूँ
good evening and welcome once again to a stunning Wantage Road. The weather once again for this blast is absolutely scorching. We've got a full house and we're in for what is can only be described as a crunch game in the North Group between Northamptonshire Steelbacks and Lancashire Lightning. My name is Sam Keir. I've got alongside me Sunrisers and Northamptonshire player Joe Gardner and Sussex Division 7 MVP and YouTube sensation Dan Jadzovic. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for that glowing introduction as well.
Yes, good evening, both.
So let's get straight to it. We've had the toss about 15 minutes ago, and with news of that and of the teams, Joe, over to you.
Yep, so David Willey won the toss and he's going to have a bowl first. 3 changes for the Steelbacks from the team that played last week against the Bears at Edgbaston. So Josh Cobb misses out, James Sales and Alex Russell, and in comes Justin Broad for his Steelbacks debut, as well as Ben Sanderson and who's the other one? Vasconcelos.
Emilio Gay has come in.
Emilio Gay.
For Josh Cobb.
Whichever way round it was, I knew it was a left-hander.
That silence terrified me, Dan. I thought, what's happened here?
Lancashire, they just make one change. Colin de Grantham is out and Dane Villas comes in for his first blast appearance of the year.
What do you know about Justin Broad, Joe?
Well, I was doing a little bit of research on him after it was announced that he'd signed his first pro contract yesterday. Played 9 times for Germany. Interesting. So he played in a few World T20 qualifiers, scored bags and bags of runs for the second 11. Every time I seem to click on a second 11 scorecard this year, I just see his name and plenty of runs next to his name. So yeah, excited to see how he goes.
Dan, this is no two ways about it. We're getting to sort of the business end of the group stage, and both sides really need to start winning consistently, don't they?
Yeah, the door's still open for both of them, isn't it? The group is so tightly contested that there is still a huge opportunity for both of the Steelbacks and the Lightning to progress through to finals day and yeah, as you say, start to put a decent run of performances together. Give themselves a chance, because both the teams have underperformed so far, I think would be fair to say.
Yeah, both been inconsistent. I was looking at the kind of situation in the last few years as to what you needed to squeeze in 4th place, and basically 14 to 16 points in the last 14 game seasons. Obviously we had a reduced 2020 due to COVID, and that was between 6 and 8 wins. So Northants currently 3 wins, Lancashire currently 4 wins. So, you know, on paper, maybe 3 or... I think probably going to need more this year, because also the weather's been so good, no results haven't come into the equation, everyone's beating everyone else, so there aren't kind of sides out of it. So what do we reckon? An absolute minimum of winning the next 4 for Northants?
Yeah, I'd say so. I definitely think you feel like tonight is a bit of a crunch game, especially I don't think Lancashire have won away from home yet this year. I mean, you look at their side on paper and it might strike a little bit of fear. You know, you've got the likes of Josh Butler and Liam Livingston both playing tonight. So, yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good game here last year. Steelbacks coming out on top in that one, winning by 7 wickets. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be hoping to get another win in front of this home crowd like we saw a couple of weeks ago.
That was quite good a couple of weeks ago, wasn't
it? Was, yeah,
I can't believe I missed it, guys.
Well, it's not our fault you're on Test Match duty.
Well,
You've been called up to the big
When
time.
you get the call up, you can't say no, can you? I was thinking of you guys, and I did tune in from my hotel room. So I was very pleased to see a Northants win after what had been a tricky few games. But yeah, going back to Lancashire, and Joe, you mentioned that home and away record. They're sort of, Old Trafford's a bit of a fortress for them, but on the road, I think they won that game at Edgbaston, which I guess counts as an away fixture.
I think I was reading on their little preview, it goes down as neutral venue, supposedly.
Does it? Okay, yeah. So like you say, being on the road has not suited Lancashire, and I think I saw they hadn't won here at Wantage Road since 2017. It's a Friday night, it's a full crowd. They'll play a part, won't they, the Northamptonshire faithful?
I hope so. I really hope so. Down at, Sunset Boulevard that you dumped it down in front of the... hey, I'm not forgetting those bangers. But yeah, honestly, they're going to be loving it down here. As you said, it's sold out. It's cracking. Wantage Road on a sunny day looks glorious. And they're going to be getting rowdy. They're going to be loving it. The ice creams are going to be going down pretty hard, I think, and getting a bit bit fluid, I think, towards the end of the evening.
One interesting thing in that Northants lineup is David Willey shifting down to 6 in the card. He has struggled at 3, if we're being totally honest, and a few starts, but not really sort of that explosive style we're used to seeing from him. What do you think of that move, Joe?
Yeah, I think it might actually suit him better, and he can come in that role and I guess just try and be a bit more focused and just try and hit the boundaries rather than almost trying to feel like in a few of his innings so far he's almost had to be a bit more of a mainstay to hold the innings together a bit more. So potentially moving him down to 5 will, I guess, free him up in his role and get the best out of him. But also Chris Lynn coming in at 3 is, yeah, I like the look of that too.
I guess Chris Lynn has sort of slightly been struggling against that moving ball early on, which it wasn't doing last year when he scored all those runs. It's definitely the white ball has done more this year, so an element of not protecting him from it, but saying to someone like Emilio Gay, who is more of a kind of traditionally orthodox player, okay, well, you know, you're very sort of organised outside your off stump, play those nice drives when it's over pitched, get us off to a good start, and then whenever Chris Lynn comes in, hopefully there's a platform for him to, you know, to explode in the way we were so used to seeing, and we saw a glimpse of it against Leicester.
Yeah, and I think he came in at 3 for the strikers in the most recent season of the Big Bash.
I knew you'd have some good intel.
Yeah,
so you are the queen of
stats. I did happen to watch almost every game of the Big Bash because I was out in Melbourne at the time, so it was on every single night, and you just can't get away from it. But I'm pretty sure he came in at 3 for the strikers, and he had a decent campaign for them. So yeah, he won't mind that.
Such is your dedication to the Northants live stream, powered of course by Daphbet, that you even went of your own accord to Australia on a scouting mission for overseas play. That is very impressive indeed.
That's where the Daphbet money's gone. It's gone on Joe's holiday through the winter.
Just come back from another one, haven't you, Jane? We won't go too much into your jet-setting lifestyle, but a few days in Menorca.
Flew back this afternoon and then off again to Jersey on Sunday. So yeah, I'm just on all the planes, trains,
all the budget airlines that you could possibly choose.
Yeah, correct.
We're very grateful that you've come back to see us and join us for another Friday night here at Wantage Road. Dan, Lancashire have 3 World Cup winners, T20 World Cup winners reigning World Cup winners in that side in Salt, Butler and Livingston, but none of them have really fired. I was looking at the Lancs batting, and loads of people getting 20s and 30s, but struggling to really kick on. Can't be too long before that happens. Butler got 50 odd against Worcester in their last game, a win at Blackpool, but beware those 3, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard people talking about kind of a team of individuals at the moment for the Lightning, which I think you could come up with an argument for, but as you said, they are a team ultimately full of superstars. You look at them and you kind of go, they wouldn't look that out of place looking international cricket, would they? With the exception with Luke Wells in that team, Stephen Croft, who was the top scorer last year as well. But you do look at it and you kind of think, one of these days, it could all fire and it could be quite messy. And we don't need to sit here and kind of tell people how good kind of Joss Butler is and Phil Salt is. Liam Livingstone, I mean, he stole the headlines, didn't he, last year? To chuck Daryl Mitchell in that team as well, who's had a phenomenal start to the Blast. Colin de Gronholm obviously not playing, but again, another international who they've just replaced with another international in Dane Villas, who's been fantastically good. Luke Woods played international cricket for England. They're a good team, Sam, I think would be polite.
Yeah, you mentioned Luke Woods, who's actually been great in this season's Blast. I think, he got 10 wickets, but a good economy rate. But has he had to do a lot of the heavy lifting with the ball? Obviously, no Saqib Mahmood with an as yet the nature of this injury unconfirmed, but he's out through injury. Obviously, someone very familiar to Northants fans, Richard Gleeson, has had wrist surgery and he's still not back. So they've kind of struggled a little bit with the ball, other than certainly in seam, other than Luke Wood. And interesting to see in the spin department, Tom Hartley's gone for over 10s, and Luke Wells has overtaken Matt Parkinson. Joe, what's your assessment of the Lightning bowling stocks?
Yeah, I think on paper there probably is quite a bit of work for Luke Wood to do in terms of definitely leading them in the power play. And yeah, Matt Parkinson obviously hasn't played that much cricket this year, and he's been quite a key member of their Blast team over the past few years. So yeah, I guess it's interesting that they've obviously got Luke Wells and Tom Hartley and Livingston to bowl that kind of that mix-up spin as you might talk about. But then again, they have had Mitchell and de Granton to kind of do a bit of that medium pace, niggly, international seam bowling, I guess. But yeah, no, Gleeson was obviously their leading wicket taker last year, wasn't he? And Saqib Mahmood, and they're both rapid, consistently bowl 90 plus. So yeah, it's a side that I think the Steelbacks will be confident of getting on top of. Certainly, I think you alluded to it, individuals not quite coming together as a unit just yet, but yeah, it's not to underestimate kind of the potential that the Lightning do have, I guess.
Dan, how big a role does Ben Sanderson have to play here, we assume, with the new ball? He's come in for one of, well, Sales as the seamer who's gone out, but when he's played so far this year, Sanderson, he's certainly not let the side down, economical, and you know, wickets at the top as well. If he can nip a couple out early, then with the pressure to score big here at Wantage Road, that's going to be a big trump card, which I guess explains why he's been brought into the side.
Yeah, and to talk about Leicestershire again, not to upset you any further, but he bowled brilliantly well in that power play, swung that white ball that we've already spoken about. It's doing a little bit more this year than what it has done in previous years, and he's a great exponent of that. The pitch does look like it's got a little bit of a tinge of green to it, doesn't it? A little bit of live grass, and yeah, hopefully Northants will be praying that he can go through this Lancs top order that, as we've just spoken about, hasn't quite fired yet. And if there's a guy that's going to nip this ball around, it's going to be Ben Sanderson.
And talking of people who do things with a new white ball, David Willey will be hoping he's at his best. He probably would be slightly disappointed in himself so far this year with that Kookaburra ball, but he will be taking the first over, which is my cue to hand over to Dan as lead commentator for the first 5 overs, alongside him with Joe, and I'll sit here and enjoy the opening salvo of this game.
Yeah, well, you've got one eye on the Test match as well, which has been a brilliant start to the summer, hasn't it? It's always nice to. You felt like a kid at Christmas this morning. I don't want to talk too much about the Ashes, but it's exciting. You kind of walk downstairs, you turn the TV on, it was there and it was good. But we've got T20 to talk about, and as you said, Dave Willey is going to open the bowling from the Lynn Wilson Centre end, sponsored by Elite Fundraising, the left armour, Northants captain, who, as we've spoken about, hasn't had the start to his Steelbacks return as what he would have hoped. But Joe, a big opportunity here against the bloke who's going to go pretty hard at him to start it off. And Phil Salt straight into it, and that's 4 for Phil Salt. He's got that mindset, I want to hit my first ball for 4.
Yeah, bit of a freebie, I think, from David Willey, just slightly short, and with that angle coming in, it's pretty comfortable for Salt to just help that round the corner in the way that he did, knowing that the man that is deep on the leg side is just a square, but a lot straighter than.
बिहार में 5 किलो अनाज किसी को नहीं मिल रहा है, 4 किलो अनाज लोगों को मिल रहा है, और ये 4 किलो अनाज इसलिए मिल रहा है कि व्यवस्थित तरीके से जो अनाज आ रहा है उसमें 35 से 40 रुपए प्रति क्विंटल के दर से भ्रष्टाचार के तौर पर जन वितरण प्रणाली से जुड़े हुए अधिकारी और जनप्रतिनिधि मिलकर लूट रहे हैं, और इसमें ज्यादातर जगहों में वहां के स्थानीय विधायक का हिस्सा भी शामिल है।
Where he picked that one out from.
Go again, Dave Willey to Phil Salt, and that is punched into the offside for a single, which brings none other than England's T20 World Cup winning captain Jos Buttler on strike. He doesn't need much of an introduction, does he?
No, not at all. His record speaks for himself, doesn't it? And I mean, I'm sure the Lightning will be pleased that they've had him and got him in their team for as much as they have in this Blast campaign.
Yeah, the timing of it's been quite helpful, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think prior to this season, he'd only played 9 times for Lancs. Oof.
That's a leg by, I think.
9 times since the start of the 2018 season. So they'll certainly be glad that they've got him back. And yeah, previous game.
Not the greatest return as an employee, that is it?
Well,
missed a few days.
Dangerous franchise leagues, hey.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't make it in today. And that's into the leg side. It'll be another single for Phil Salt. He moves to 6. Surprised. Well, am I surprised? I don't know. But the whole Joss Buttler Bazball conversation might have been an interesting one ahead of the Ashes, but we just had to contest with Bairstow and Folkes instead. But it could have been a nice extra name just to chuck in the mix there.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty powerful as it is, but I guess Buttler hadn't quite got his returns in Test cricket.
It's going to be another leg by. Shape from David Willey with the new ball. Been a good over, good comeback after that. As you said, a bit of a freebie first up, wasn't it? To Phil Salt.
Certainly was, but interestingly, Buttler part of the Ashes squad the last time England won the Ashes in 2015.
Feels like a long time ago. Changing the field as Vasconcelos comes out of slip and goes to short cover. And that's going to be a dot ball to finish the first over from Northants captain Dave Willey. So 8 for no loss, the Lightning off the first, and we will gaze out the window and see who's going to bowl. Well, it's going to be Ben Sanderson, isn't it? What a silly thing to say. Quite enjoyed him last time out.
Yeah, and he bowled his, did he bowl his 4 straight through last time? Yeah, I definitely remember him having his 3 in the power play. Yeah, he looked like he had a bit of fire in his belly when he was here a couple of weeks ago against the Foxes. 3 for 25. Hoping for more of the same today, you would imagine, against these 2 England internationals.
It would be handy. Ben Sanderson, sponsored by Wentworth Alexander. He will be bowling to Joss Buttler, who is on strike from the David Capel end. Here we go then. Ben Sanderson to Buttler. And that starts with a dot ball. Evades the tumble from Emilio Gay at short mid wicket, but yet to get off the mark. Joss Buttler, do you think he's getting a bit nervous?
Oh, I mean, have you seen what he initials on the top of his bat? I don't think he'll be getting too flustered, but it's not very often he takes 3 balls to get off the mark.
Down the ground. Wide ball from Ben Sanderson. I think he's just adjusted there, isn't he, as Buttler's walked at him, but not quite got it right. Asking the question, I think, of the umpire, saying, well, do I not get a little bit more leeway because Buttler moved? Umpire not interested. And that's going to be down the leg side again.
Thought that might have just clipped his thigh pad. Looked as though the umpire had a little pause before turning around and signalling that one. But yeah, you can see Ben Sanderson doesn't want to give Buttler any width, does he?
No, we both know if that had just flicked the pocket, Lewis McManus would have gone up for that. Can we disguise it? And there is that width that we were talking about. A bit of confusion in the middle. Good first touch by Lewis McManus to save the overthrows. I think that was Justin Broad, wasn't it, with the throw in there. Does the fielding and keeps Joss Buttler on strike.
Tidy bit of fielding there at extra cover initially, wasn't it?
It certainly was. And there is an appeal from behind the stumps. Good finish from Ben Sanderson. I assume that is Justin Broad, is it, with the numberless numberless, nameless jersey on.
Yeah, certainly seems to be.
Davies.
Just see him there.
Born in South Africa, gets the homegrown player status because of German, I think, grandparents. I think Alex was saying. Very full, big appeal from Ben Sanderson, and given Josh Butler goes for a 5-ball duck, Ben Sanderson picks up the big scalp and lightning a 1 down for 10. What a start.
Yeah, excellent. And you just...
अच्छा 25 में दे देंगे है दीदी छोड़ फिर रुको ले लो 25 में
दीवारी पे भारी है आंटी एक नंबर खिलाड़ी है बॉस इंडिया में हर कोई खिलाड़ी है तो चलो असली गेम खेलते हैं अड्डा 52 पर आओ और खेल जाओ
इस खेल में आदत लगना या आर्थिक जोखिम संभव है जिम्मेदारी से खेलें
You just saw the kind of the pressure did get on top of Josh Butler a little bit. I think it was just a bit of a looked like he took the pace off, but it's moved through the air quite a bit, potentially clattering into leg stump. But yeah, the Steelbacks will be thrilled with that one. As we speak about that movement that Sanderson's able to extract early on is key part of his game, and another wicket to his tally for the year.
Yeah, that's gone really late as well, isn't it, from Sanderson, just tailed in there. Umpire didn't hang about.
One you might DRS if you're playing in the T20 World Cup final. Bit leg-sidey?
Leg-sidey, possibly. Who are we to judge from up here? Sam, Luke Wells is the new batter at the crease. Ben Sanderson 1 for 2 off his 4 balls. And Wells defends that one. Was Wells carded at 3, or has this been a slight change with the loss of the early wicket?
That is a great question, Dan.
I know he's been around for absolutely ages, hasn't he? And I mean, he's striking at 170 this year, so maybe not bought in to steady the ship. As he's down the ground straight away, trying to plant Ben Sanderson back over his head and misses out. So 10 for 1 after 2 overs. Ben Sanderson picks up the first wicket of the evening. Josh Butler gone for nothing. And Dave Willey is going to continue from the Lynn Wilson centre ends. Ben Sanderson's bowled 4 through again, do you think? He's bought himself another one there, isn't he, I think?
Possibly, yeah, absolutely. No runs conceded off the bat, and yeah, it did look, I think that stop from AJ Ty, extra cover, I don't think you can underestimate how important that probably was in terms of, like, Butler absolutely creamed it. Diving stop, like, probably would have gone for 4, and then a couple of balls later he's out.
And that is into the leg side again by Phil Salt, just for a single. And Dave Willey will have a bowl to Luke Wells for the first time this evening. It's a nice buzz around the grounds tonight. Sam, I'd like to task you with the job of just keeping your eye out the window and seeing if you see anything interesting going on. Oh, he's bought the bins as well. He's fully prepared.
Mission accepted, Dan. I'll see what I can see.
I trust you to find us something good. And it's well fielded by Ben Sanderson, a point. There he is, look. Looking like a true twitcher.
I've been called worse.
We will rely on cameraman Ben trying to find what you're looking at, mind you. But Dave Willey, and that's gone up into the leg side. There's a chance here. Safe save is underneath it. And that is down. That is a tough chance. That's gone miles up in the air, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah, it went super high, and I think it must have been moving quite a lot, because I don't think at any point in that kind of run to move under the ball, like, you can see how many times Dave kind of had to change his path to get into the drop zone, as it were. That's where the ball was landing. yeah, that's a tough chance, but a chance nonetheless.
Yeah, it's not been something that's been good for the Stillbacks across 2023. We're looking to put that one to bed pretty quickly. But that was Luke Wells off the mark with a single.
Yeah, it really looked like that one swirled, didn't it? I also wonder whether it was straight up in the sun for safe save. Those are the kind of mitigating circumstances. He still would have wanted to take it easy. You know, he's out there for a reason, isn't he? He's a good catcher out in the deep.
Yeah, I think Joe made a brilliant point there. Like, just did not get settled, did he, at all? Down the ground, and that is 4. Luke Wells picks up his first boundary straight down the ground. Wasn't a million miles away from mid-off, but nonetheless, the Lightning moved to 17 for 1. That's a nice looking shot, that.
Yeah, you can see in the first few balls, Wells has tried to be positive, you know, used his feet well there. I did think for a second Andrew Ty might have had a diving catch to his left. Wasn't interested.
They quite hurt when you hit the ground, though, Joe.
Yeah, as I so found out.
It's a big swing again from Luke Wells, and that's cut him in half. David Willey finishes his second over with a dot ball. The Lightning are 17 for 1. The man out, Joss Butler. Did you make the catch, Joe? We are talking about Joe's injury, for those wondering. You've broken your little finger.
Well, no, it's actually not my little finger. I kind of wish it was my little finger. It's actually my metacarpal. You can see I've got this nice little accessory going on. Nice little thermoplastic splint.
Nice in the hot weather, I imagine.
Yeah, lovely.
I thought there was a funny
Smells
smell
great,
in it.
yeah.
But did you catch it?
So it was actually a diving stop.
Okay.
On the ropes. I stopped it. Just landed awkwardly and bosh, little fracture.
Upish, and that is 4 for Phil Salt. He beats the diving David Willey at mid-off. And that's another boundary. 21 for 1. Nice looking shot from Phil Salt there. I don't know whether maybe... Did it beat Dave Willey? I think it did, didn't it? Yeah, it was a long way from it, to be fair. Well, at least you saved the boundary, Joe.
Well, exactly.
Body on the line, and you save 4. Down the leg side, and that is out. Phil Salt goes. Good catch by Lewis McManus. That man, Ben Sanderson, has 2. 21 for 2, the Lightning, and the Stillbacks are well on top now.
Ben Sanderson doing what Ben Sanderson did in the previous game against Leicester, nipping a couple out early. Phil Salt didn't look particularly pleased with that. He went to remark his guard, didn't quite realise what happened, but that's just standard response, isn't it? I think when you strangle down the leg side. But yeah, Ben Sanderson 2 for 6. A couple of England internationals are gone early in this game. The Lightning 21 for 2.
Yeah, cracking start. I'm sure we'll get another replay of that dismissal. Oh, like magic that, wouldn't it? Thanks, producer George. Yeah, it's really hard to see, isn't it? But as you said, Phil Salt. I'd like that. If I'm being honest, I'd like that replay just to have lasted a little bit longer, to have seen Phil Salt's reaction.
That's the classic. I think he was protesting too much sort of reaction.
Yeah.
Like, nothing to see here, Governor.
Sanderson and McManus went up straight away, though, didn't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
they
as
did.
they would, but it was pretty immediate.
Yeah, I'm quite sure what happened there, but the ball wasn't in Ben Sanderson's hand. Anyway, Stephen Croft is the new batter for the Lightning. Their top run scorer of 2022 is at the crease now. And that is full. There's a mix-up, there's a chance. David Willey's got it. Oh, and that has pinned Stephen Croft somewhere. Apologies from David Willey straight away, but There was a mix-up, there was a chance. They've looked a little bit nervy, haven't they, the Lightning, so far this evening. A few runs being turned down. You reckon that might have been a little bit of Yorkshire left in David Willey, having seen the Red Rose of Lancashire down there? Well bowled again from Ben Sanderson. Another dot ball.
I vaguely remember him. Didn't he have a great game for Yorkshire against Lancashire 5 or so years ago? I think he got, strike rate 200, sort of 80 odd at Headingley, something like that. So hopefully that trans-Pennine rivalry is still strong in him, even though we're a bit further south.
Still up north in my eyes, Sam. Get above the South Downs and it's is 3 dot balls now for Stephen Croft. Ben Sanderson bowling absolutely brilliantly. 11 balls, 2 for 6 for the stillback seamer. On course to outdo himself at the moment. Stephen Croft is off the mark with a single into the leg side. Saif Zaid does the fielding. That is the end of the 4th over. 22 for 2 the score. Luke Wells on 5, Stephen Croft on 1, and Ben Sanderson 2 overs, 2 for 7.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Ben Sanderson. Back on home turf. Just the 1 wicket in the couple of games he played away from home against, I think it was Worcester and Durham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just took 1 for 22 up at Durham and then 0 for 33 against Worcester. But yeah, back here, taking wickets in the power play, which we know is so important.
Yeah, good place to bowl seam at the top here, isn't it? At Wantage Road. Tom Taylor's the new bowler from the Lynn Wilson Centre end, replacing Dave Willey. And he's going to start with a dot ball. Tom Taylor, sponsored by Smooth FM.
Oh.
I know.
Can't be many people sponsored by radio stations in the game.
So. No, he might be a unique character in that. Have you got a sponsor? Maybe we could have a word with Smooth FM.
No, yeah, drop a word in. Little player sponsor, Smooth FM, interesting.
And there is a chance if he gets there, he doesn't. Brilliant bit of fielding on the boundary. Cannot keep Ben Sanderson out of the game. He saves 2.
What other radio stations?
It's a great bit of fielding, isn't it, by Ben Sanderson?
Excellent bit of work.
Can't keep him out of the game. Sorry, Sam, we interrupted you.
I realise there's a cricket match going on, but my mind was wandering. Other sponsors for Northampton. I don't want to sort of do down Smooth FM, but other sponsors for Northampton. Suppose the one came to mind for me was Classic FM for Emilio Gay with some of those cover drives.
That's into the offside. This is going to be a single. I think you'd want to try and have the radio station of something that you would want to kind of go for yourself, wouldn't you? I don't think Emilio would be a Classic FM kind of guy.
I don't know. Certainly a classical batsman. Yeah.
Maybe that's a next question for your when you interview him next, Dan.
Yeah, that would be a stonking start to the pre-match lap of the ground, wouldn't it? So what radio station do you listen to, Emilio? Nobody wants to know apart from Joe and Sam.
Mainly Sam.
Down the ground, and that is up again. There is a chance and Captain David Willey takes the catch. Tom Taylor picks up his first of the evening. The Lightning are 3 down for 25. And Luke Wells, having had an earlier life, goes on the second attempt. Bit of chaos in this power play for the Lightning. Joe, all sorts going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually lost that in the air, but I think I was glad that it was David Willey that was taking the catch, as he was running the better angle compared to Safe Sabe, who, I mean, yeah, it would have been one of those where you catch it kind of over your shoulder. It would have been a very difficult chance for him to take, but well executed by a skipper, David Willey. Did have some ground to make up. Yeah, brilliant start.
I thought that was travelling a little bit further than what it was. I thought Justin Broad was coming in to collect that one, but as you said, solid bit of work from David Willey then to put the Lightning 3 down. It does bring to the crease, however, Daryl Mitchell. He's leading the run scorers for the Lightning so far this season. 275 runs at an average of 55. 52 T20 internationals for New Zealand to go with it. And I know, Sam, you love a nickname. Do you know Daryl Mitchell's nickname, Sam?
No.
Moose.
All right. Obviously.
Tom Taylor to Mitchell. And guided and beats, I think, Freddie Heldrick to get 4. 4 off his first ball.
Phil and Grant, I'd call him.
I've just picked it. I've just got it. It took longer than what it should have done, Sam.
Contemporary reference for the kids.
Peggy.
Peggy Mitchell.
So much better.
Much better, yeah.
It depends how much EastEnders gets watched in New Zealand, I suppose, doesn't it? But I'm hopeful for New Zealand's sake, not much.
EastEnders?
But he's off the mark straight away. It's been brilliant for Lancashire so far this season. It's pulled it. There's a chance for a run out. Really sharp bit of work from Emilio. I think Stephen Croft might have been struggling if there was a direct hit, but no harm done. 29 for 3 then off the first 5 for the Lightning. 2 wickets for Ben Sanderson, 1 for Tom Taylor, and Sam Keir is going to take over the batting as the lead commentator for the next 5.
To Ben Sanderson, who has been superb so far this evening, and Luke Wells, the most recent man to go, caught Willey, bowled Taylor for 5. Ben Sanderson bowling his 3rd over, as you would expect. Been brilliant with this new ball. And they'll come back for 2 after the misfield for David Willey there at mid-off. Yeah, huge amount of weight of responsibility now on Croft and Mitchell's shoulders. Although they've been in this position before this season, the Lancashire top order not firing quite as you would expect with some of the names up there. But he's pretty reliable, Stephen Croft. His 20s and 30s almost a given when he bats. So far this year, I think 5 out of his 8 innings, at least 20. So he has got a bit of a holding, rebuilding role to do.
Yeah, he got 40 last time out, didn't he, against the Rapids? And as I said, was their leading run scorer in 2022. You know, when you kind of turn around and say, oh, he's been around for ages. This is a guy that fits that.
Short ball from Sanderson, and it's pulled under control by Croft. Just 1 run. And the fielding completed by Safe Save.
It feels like there's a real buzz about the Steelbacks tonight, Sam. I know that the start that they've had with the 2 wickets from Sanderson, but there just feels like a real kind of energy and a real vibe out there on the field that maybe we haven't seen at parts throughout this season, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, and I think that's being picked up on by the crowd. Like you said, there's a lovely buzz, as you would expect, regardless of the cricket on such a glorious evening. But it does help when the home side are on top, as they very much are at 32 for 3 halfway through the 6th over. Miscue, horrible miscue from Daryl Mitchell, but he's certainly going to get 2 as Safe Save does an excellent bit of fielding out on the deep mid-wicket boundary.
Just going back to your guys' point about Stephen Croft. 2nd highest number of blast appearances behind Samit Patel. And this is his 218th appearance for Lancashire in the blast. So
wow.
Yes, I would concur. He has been round a long time.
Mitchell targets that boundary. And one bounce for 4. Timed that one okay. Just a touch full from Sanderson.
Yeah. Good shot by Moose. Just got enough of it, didn't he? Nowhere near the middle of the bat.
I don't know, I think he waited, just had to wait for it, didn't he? And once he'd cleared the infield with the fielding restrictions still in place for another 2 balls as it was, he was always going to be safe, so it's actually fairly low risk, although as I say that for the... I know there was a slight movement there from AJ Tai, as if he was going to go out to the long on boundary, but instead it is Emilio Gay who will go out to the deep mid-wicket boundary to join Safe Save on that side in the deep, and that's exactly where the ball goes. Darren Mitchell just pinging it into the onside. 1 run to complete the over. That is the end of the power play. A very good power play for the home side. Lancashire 39 for 3.
That's been brilliant, Sam. As you said, those 3 massive wickets, Butler and Salt in particular, being picked up. As from a cricket fan's perspective, you'd be a bit disappointed by that, wouldn't you, to kind of not still be watching those 2 guys play cricket. But from a stillback's perspective, that's absolutely brilliant. And it's a little bit of deja vu from the Foxes game with Ben Sanderson, which has been brilliant to see. And Joe, looks like you've got some kind of stat or fact or something that you're dying to say.
Yeah, so 39 for 3, best power play for the Steelbacks, overtaking that 42 for 3 against the Foxes.
Tom Taylor continues from the Lynn Wilson Centre end. AJ Tai doing the fielding as the ball is just prodded down towards him at long on.
He came on quite late, didn't he, up at Edgbaston against the Bears with the ball. I know it was a bit more of a spin-friendly pitch.
Yeah.
But I think he still picked up 2 for not very many.
Not sure how good for cricket wickets like that are in T20 or in any game, as Croft swings and misses at a wide one just outside the off stump. Sorry, Joe, go on.
No, he was almost exclusively just used at the death, I think, wasn't he? AJ Tai, just utilising his variations. But it worked well for him. We've seen him go at probably an economy a little bit higher than he's used to, potentially in his first few outings in Steelbacks colours.
Top edge down to the boundary, 1 bounce 4. Not in control of that shot, Steve Croft, but he gets 4 runs to take him to 11. Tom Taylor won't mind that. That wasn't that far away from carrying all the way down to the man at 3rd man.
Yeah, as you said, wasn't fully in control of that shot. For those wondering, the fielders out on the boundary, as Sam said, we've got a deep 3rd, deep cover, long on, deep mid-wicket and a deep square as well.
We'll look for 2 here and get it quite comfortably in the end. Intelligent cricket from Stephen Crofts, as you'd expect from a man of his experience, just tucking it into the onside and picking up 2.
Speaking of intelligent cricket, Sam, the Intelligent Cricket win predictor is currently in favour of the Steelbacks, 60 or 59.9 to 40.1 if we're splitting heads. That's changed quite significantly from the start of the evening, hasn't it, with the Lightning that I think was 63% favourite, I believe, before a ball had been bowled.
Lancashire just having to do a little bit of rebuilding work here. The stats we all know, we hear it parroted all the time. It's become a bit of a cliche about 3 wickets in the power play, but cliches usually have an element of truth in them, and Lancashire can ill afford to lose another couple of wickets in the first half of their innings, so they are going to have to just push and prod to a certain extent. But as we know, this is a high-scoring ground, so there'll also be that in the back of their mind, the need to get somewhere in the high 100s at least. At the moment, Mitchell and Croft happy to bat like it's the middle overs of a mid-noughties ODI, just pushing it around, overs 25 to 40, milking the bowling.
about 4 1/4 runs per over.
Yeah. Collingwood getting a 80 off 90 balls.
Back when cricket was proper and there was none of this basball-larky. I think when you bat first here at Wantage Road, you have that 200 number in your mind, don't you? Which is still incredibly possible. I mean, Daryl Mitchell's a phenomenal player, and Captain Liam Livingstone's still up the lightning sleeve, isn't he?
I think that's a really good point. You want to be in a position where the captain, Livingstone, can come in and go for it rather than him feeling like he's got to restrict himself. So absolutely can't blame Croft and Mitchell for the way they're going, especially after losing early wickets. AJ Tye into the attack from the David Capel end. It's not quite got hold of that. It'll land safely and indeed go for 4. Well, you take them how they come. By no means quite the execution that Daryl Mitchell was hoping for. But again, not an unintelligent shot given the way the field is set. And that's the 50 up for Lancashire Lightning in the 8th over.
Yeah, it was a safe option, wasn't it? There's nobody anywhere near the boundary, down towards long off, all the way round to, well, Ben Anderson's at cover point, isn't he? You would say, being that square, so there's a big gap in front of the pavilion.
Tucks it into the onside, beautifully timed, and that is 4 runs. That's some shot. Well,
he's timed that absolute pants off it, isn't he?
Just shows you don't need to smash every ball out of the ground. Just lent on that. Not the greatest delivery from AJ Tye, given that big gap on the onside, but my word, it was beautifully timed by Daryl Mitchell, showing all his class there.
It's interesting, this field, isn't it? I know there is a long on and there is a deep mid wicket. What have we got? A deep third, deep backward square. I mean, that to me says AJ Tye's going to bowl a little bit shorter.
And there's the short ball, and this time it's punched through the offside. Daryl Mitchell suddenly races to 22 off 10 deliveries, having taken 9 off those first 3 balls of AJ Tye's evening.
See, the Div 7 cricketer can pick up a few things here and there.
Daryl Mitchell's playing in Div 7. Not sure he'd have a chance against you, would he? The form you're in?
He'd probably keep me out of the team, I think.
Maybe rotate like the Lancs overseas.
Quite possibly, yeah. Quite possibly. It does feel a bit like 2022, though, watching Daryl Mitchell bat again.
Slow ball. And it is signalled as a wide by umpire Adnan. Looked well wide. Ooh, actually, the swing did him, yeah.
It's a little bit harsh, I think.
Yeah, marginal. Hits him on the pad. No interest from the Northants fielder, but a shot at the stumps by AJ Tye, and they will get an overthrow. Hint of frustration, I think, there from Andrew Tye, who just hasn't quite found his line. That one was heading down the leg side.
Yeah, I think Mitchell would have been back, wouldn't he? But I don't mind the energy, though, Sam. I don't mind the intent to get out there and get the fielding done off your own bowling.
Full toss, chipped up, but it falls short of David Willey, who athletically fields and throws in one movement.
He's at a Lancashire Lightning coconut shy tonight, isn't he, David Willey?
Yeah, he's got
picked up Stephen Croft so far.
Yeah, he's got a big teddy for that
just
one.
Got Daryl Mitchell. I think when you get the 3, I think that's when you get the big teddy.
It's another slow ball, and it very nearly rolls on to Stephen Croft's stumps. We've already seen one of those today with Harry Brook in the Test match. Do you see that? Bizarre. Anyway, yeah, Stephen Croft gets away with it, and an expensive over for AJ Tye's first. just to add a little bit of impetus to a previously stuttering lightning innings.
Yeah, I think Dan mentioned about the field set, and it's interesting. I don't know how much Mitchell or Croft get the ramp shot out in their innings, but there's a short fine, and I'm thinking, would you not try and keep that short fine in a mid-wicket, saving one in the ring? To almost, well, one, it would have eliminated the overthrow, and also potentially stop that 4 that Mitchell hit quite crisply through that gap in between 2 fielders that were deep. I just think having a mid-wicket in the ring is something that can help really squeeze for the fielding team.
Ben Sanderson to bowl his final over. Pace off, back of a length, and does the fielding off his own bowling. Another run to Daryl Mitchell's total. Well, I'm deferring to you, Joe, as the professional cricketer. It makes sense to me. I mean, I suppose the fact is you've only got 9 outfield fielders and you've got to put them somewhere. There's always going to be some gap. But yeah, that kind of makes sense, especially if you're then not bowling short balls, which they haven't really been doing. Swing from Stephen Croft, and that'll be 6 runs. Picked that one up okay, length delivery from Ben Sanderson. Again, not quite sure he got all of it, but enough of it to clear that relatively short boundary down towards us here at the David Capel end. And
bit of interest, wasn't there, from David Willey and Emilio Gay converging on it, but I don't think it was over by... it was over by probably at least 6 foot, so he got plenty of it.
Handy little partnership this now. Was of course at the Lynn Wilson centre end. We are not the David Capel end. Oh, and that drops just short, I think. Puff of dust as the ball and the hand came together, but I think it was just short. It would have been an absolute worldie if he'd taken it one-handed.
I think Tom Taylor might be in a bit of...
I reckon he got a good mitt on that. It's just hit him a bit awkwardly, I reckon.
He's done a Joe Gardner.
There you go.
It's incredibly sore, doesn't it?
Pace off from Sanderson, just putting it in the box, as they say. Targeting top of off, just making it hard for the batter to free the arms. This has been a pretty exemplary performance so far from Ben Sanderson. Can he get out of his, as we see that replay again of that athletic bit of fielding from Tom Taylor? Do we think that carried or just short? Just carried, did it? Yeah.
Do you think, Joe, I will ask you this question, do you think Tom Taylor thought, he looked to me as though he was trying to scoop that up, but if I was being, it looked like he had a little bit more room between the ball and the ground than maybe what he thought he had it.
Yeah, I think there was actually quite a lot of room between the ball and the ground. It was almost like he dived a little bit shallow, like a little bit low, and then he was almost trying to get his hand back up above himself. I mean, decent effort. Just looked like it might have hit him a bit awkwardly, potentially around his thumb.
Off Ben Sanderson's final over, slightly ruining his figures, but I think he'll be pretty happy with 2 for 29 off 4.
He's had another good evening's work, isn't he, for the Steelbacks? It does so well, or has done so well over the last 2 games here with a new ball for Northants.
Freddie Heldrick into the attack, and actually you can absolutely see what David Willey's doing here. Just as this partnership's developing, he's turning to the man that has been his leading wicket taker, but also a man who's just taken wickets, key moments so far, and big names. Got the Big Show twice in 2 games, and they'll be hoping, he's also been taking wickets early in his spells, so they'll be hoping that he does the same again tonight to end this partnership that is now worth, quick maths, 47.
Yeah, 14 wickets so far this season for Freddie, coming at 13s. Got 4 for 27 last time out against the Bears. I was meant to have a conversation with him on my pre-match kind of lap of the ground, but because the M25 was a car park, I missed out, and it's a shame because I was looking forward to having a chat to him about those Maxwell wickets.
It's up in the air, but it will be wide of Emilio Gay there at deep backward square. Another boundary. And yeah, just picked up the length nicely, and that is the 50 partnership between Croft and Mitchell. Just 27 balls, showing all their experience between them. That one's even bigger. That's gone all the way over Sunset Boulevard for another 6. Stephen Croft taking a liking to Freddie Heldrick early doors here. Great shot that, Dan.
Huge. Don't mind seeing the slog sweep, and that's as well timed. I think that's probably the shot of the day, probably the one that we've really seen that's been timed so far. Starting to look less like a nudge and nurdle rebuild from the Lightning here. It's turned into a bit of an onslaught quite quick, isn't it?
Umpire Adnan just having a look at the ball, see if that shot did any damage. Short and smacked into the ground by Croft, misfielded by Heldrick, so they will come through for a single. And that brings Daryl Mitchell on to strike for his first look at the impressive young wrist spinner, Freddie Heldrick. I feel like there's been a bit of a changing of the guard in terms of spin here at Northants so far this season, with probably White and Cobb, who've done so much of the spin bowling in recent years. Heldrick leading the wicket takers. Alex Russell impressing in the game up at Birmingham, not playing tonight. And actually Saif Zaid bowled nicely as well, didn't he, on the road in the last couple of games as well. So new generation of spinners. But at the moment it's the old-timer Steve Croft who is making the most of Northants spin. That's another 6, the second of the over. 18 off the first 5 balls of Freddie Heldrick, and this is a test for the young man. He's been all going pretty much all his own way so far in this year's Blast, but he's come up against a wily old pro in Stephen Croft, and at the moment Croft is winning the battle. Short ball, and doesn't get hold of it this time, Croft, but oh dear, and miscommunication between the two Northants fielders out on the boundary. They get away with that a little bit. They almost looked at each other to say, who's going to do the fielding? And in the end, it was done, but it did mean that Stephen Croft was able to come back for 2. Expensive over. 92 for 3 at the halfway point as I hand over to Joe.
Yeah, it's been a productive 3 overs for the Lightning. 44 coming off the last 3. So Steelbacks should be looking to tighten up, get a few dots in. Haven't had a dot since the end of this man's first over. And he'll be looking to try and break this partnership, as you feel as it's just accumulating a bit too nicely from a Steelbacks perspective, setting up the platform. AJ Ty. Oh. Pace off to Mitchell. That's not a bad option here. A little bit more of that. Batter's been striking it quite nicely in the previous few overs, but we did see them miss time a few earlier on in their innings, so see what tricks AJ Ty's got. Just hits that one out to David Willett long off, but like a bit of a knuckleball, potentially that one, AJ Ty. He's got many, hasn't he?
He's got a box of tricks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where you want your overseas pro. No coincidence they brought him to the attack here where, come on AJ, get me a wicket.
Absolutely. Croft mistimed, fall short of Ricardo Vasconcelos, but just be one. Yeah, Croft ticking along nicely, up to 44 now.
Will David Willey back Freddie Heldrick to come back for a second over? So seemed like a really conscious effort from Stephen Croft and the Lightning to target the leggy, looking at the Northants team, thinking there's only one out-and-out spinner in the lineup today.
Slower ball again, hit down the ground firmly, but it will just be one. To Mitchell, well fielded by David Willey. Yeah, it certainly did look that way, didn't it? It was almost like, okay, Freddie Heldrick is the leading wicket taker for the Steelbacks in the Blast, but if we can get on top of him early, knowing that he'd taken a wicket in each of his first overs in it, all but one of the 6 games he's played, I feel like that was a plan. Pace off, miscued, but it's actually gone pretty far into the outfield. They'll come back for a couple, fielded out there by Safe, and now it's that get out of the over scenario that we're faced with here with AJ Ty. Don't concede a boundary off this last ball, and it's been a good comeback over the Steelbacks.
He did an interview with the Chronicle and Echo where he said exactly that, how frustrated he was at not getting out of the overs in his Northants career today.
And unfortunately, he's been hit round the corner, beating the man at short fine for a boundary right on cue. Another over that AJ Ty hasn't been able to get out of, as we've been speaking about. And it brings up 50 for Stephen Croft, his first 50 in the Blast this year. 28 balls, 3 fours, 3 sixes. Yeah, he's played nicely, and also 100 runs for Lancashire coming up with that boundary as well. Yeah, the leading run scorer for the Lightning in T20 Blast cricket by some margin, 2,500 runs more than the chasing pack, and it's going to be the skipper David Willey to return to the attack. So no, Freddie Heldrick doesn't get a second over.
Good to see from David Willey. You've got to stand up as a captain and take responsibility when things aren't going your way.
Full toss, hit out towards long off.
As a bowler, I'm sure the last thing he'd want to be doing is coming on now, but as a captain and, you know, an international quality T20 player, then he's standing up and being counted. I think that's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Captain doing what's required for the team in his 150th appearance in Blast. David Willey tried to create room there, did Croft. I'm not sure Emilio Gay picked that up in the outfield as they come back for a couple. Is it like a bit of confusion down there, Sam? You can see better from your angle.
And, again, it's that sun just setting behind the old football stand. It's what we kind of gave Safe the benefit of the doubt with earlier with that catch, and I think you can see by the shadows on the outfield how they extend over to that side. The sun is now low in the sky, and if you're looking straight into it, hard to field.
Hit out towards long on, just a single to Croft, but you can see batter's plans here, just taking a couple steps over towards that off stump with David Willey coming over the wicket, just trying to create room to eye up Sunset Boulevard, as it were, and hit into their danger zones. Straighter this time, just be another single for Daryl Mitchell.
Just one last thing to say about Freddie Heldrick and the leg spinner. With the way the Steelbacks have lined up tonight, the 6th bowler is the left arm spinner Safe Zabe. So we are going to have to get Freddie back into this game, or we're going to get 3 overs of respectfully some part-time left arm spin from Safe.
Deep in the crease, full toss, mistimed again out to, gets AJ Ty out there at long off. Right, can David Willey get out of this over? Steelbacks will be hoping so. Just really try and put a bit more pressure on these batters, currently going at 9 and over, so well on course for 180.
It's well bowled.
Yeah, good over from skipper David Willey. Just 7 runs off of that over.
Yeah, good stuff. He bowled to his field. Probably would have had 6 off the over if the sun hadn't been in Emilio Gay's eyes. So, yeah, good over. But the crucial thing is trying to break this partnership. And
looks as though we are going to see Safe Sabe come into the attack from this Lynn Wilson indoor centre end. 2 wickets in the competition this year. 1 in each of the last 2 games. Nice to see him being utilised a bit more as an all-rounder in the blast for the Steelbacks. Hit firmly down the ground. Has it gone all the way? Yes. Well, Daryl Mitchell's met Safe Sabe there with the utmost confidence. Just swung straight through the line of the ball. Clearly a man in touch. A leading run scorer for the Lightning this year. 6 Safe Sabes first. Will it be 1? Yep, just 1. But clever bit of cricket. Know that support staff always love boundary followed up by single. Good start to the over. What's Safe going to do here? Into the pitch. Hit out towards long off. Cut off by Emilio Gay. Come back for a couple. Big pocket out there. Comfortable 2. Stephen Croft with his highest score in the blast so far this year. Lighted a little bit more. Is it going to carry? No, on the bounce to that man Emilio Gay again, but slightly slower, a little bit more flighted from Sabe. 10 off the over so far. Hit firmly, opportunity. Always tough off your own bowling. But Safe's a pretty good fielder. Hard chance,
yeah,
Sam?
I think that either sticks or it doesn't. You don't know much about that, do you? And he just got his arms up a little late.
Again, has that gone all the way, or is it going to be taken? No, all the way over David Willey's head at long on. Another good over for the Lightning. 6 to Stephen Croft. He moves on to 63 from just the 34 balls. 100-run partnership between these two, and it has been brilliant rebuild from these two. Plenty of T20 experience between the pair of them, and they've put on a decent recovery mission for the Lightning.
Devastating partnership for the 4th wicket. 100 runs off 50 balls, striking at 200. And like you say, it was one-way traffic in the power play, but these two have come together and shifted the momentum firmly in Lancashire's direction. They've both played beautifully. What I've liked about this partnership is the way that when one of the batters is going well, the other's been happy just to knock it off and knock it around and give the strike, and vice versa. You know, they've not tried to outdo each other. It's been a real partnership.
Tom Taylor into the attack. Full, well bowled. Just be the single off of that one. Out towards the skipper at long on. 1 for 17 off his first 2. Tom Taylor, 8 wickets this year for the Steelbacks.
In a spot of bother here, Northants, because with the spinners being taken down.
Innovative, well played, well executed from Stephen Croft. The little reverse ramp wasn't a bad delivery from Taylor, but Crofty's well in now. That was a great bit of innovation, as it were. It's a bit of a wide Yorker, and Croft just helped himself to another boundary. He's going nicely, is Stephen Croft. He moves on to 67. Yeah, full from Taylor, just a single.
Yeah, as Dan pointed out, they're going to have to find 4 overs from Eldrick and Zaid between them, and so far they've bowled 2, and it's gone for a combined 37. So it is a big, well, I was going to say roll of the dice, but it's a do or die moment really in terms of getting a wicket with these overs of seam, because you could be bringing spin back on with these guys even more well set. Oi! That's one way to.
Well, it's a no ball. Has attempted back of the hand slower ball potentially from Tom Taylor, and I must say I'll spare his blushes because something very similar happened to me in a game at the home of cricket earlier on this year against the South East Stars. But it's a no ball and it will be a free hit, I believe. Yeah, it's just absolutely cannoned off towards Emilio Gay at backward point, hasn't it? Just slipped out of his hand.
So is he giving that a no ball on waist height, or is that because it didn't?
You've both been so amazingly polite about that, because that is one of the funniest things I think I've seen in cricket for a long time. That's so good. The best bit about it was Daryl Mitchell was running over towards deep point, trying to hit it for 4 as well.
Well, haven't they changed the rules on that or something? That
if it doesn't hit the strip,
you can't hit it or something.
Well, I was going to say, I think whereas it used to be a wide.
Umpires coming together here.
But I think that's because it didn't pitch, so I think that's a no ball on waist height.
I think it's a no ball and a free hit.
But it
shouldn't be a warning for dangerous bowling, that's for sure.
But I don't think there's any discretion on that. If he's given it a no ball on waist high, then it is a warning, even though it was 30 yards away from.
They've had a little chat, and it's going to be a free hit, as we so thought.
I think Emilio Gay was in more danger than Daryl Mitchell.
Well, the Kiwi, like you say, Dan, the Kiwis have got form when it comes to hitting wide balls. I think Craig McMillan did it to Phil Tufnell.
Well bowled from Tom Taylor. Daryl Mitchell was about 2 foot outside of his crease there, asking a few questions about whether or not it was a wide, but it was close. But benefit of the doubt goes to Tom Taylor. Maybe the umpire just showing a little bit of sympathy for him.
Felt for him after the horror show of the ball.
And he's going to have more words, because he's questioning whether or not it's a wide. But it quite clearly isn't a wide, so it's definitely not a free hit, because it's a dot ball. Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah, that's naughty, really.
Just face up, buddy.
Can't walk down the other end and start challenging the umpire. I'm not sure about that.
Just screams level 1 to me. Oh no, now he's talking to the square leg umpire that's actually at point because of Sun that we've mentioned. He's not happy, is he?
Yeah,
I think Rob Bailey at square leg's going to struggle to see whether that was wide as well.
It's not a great look to try one umpire and then walk over to the other. And
that is odd, isn't it?
Slow ball hit down the ground from Mitchell. Just the one. One ball left in this somewhat eventful over. Daryl Mitchell chirping a fair amount, but he's on 41. There's that ball that we were speaking about, questioning whether or not it's wide. Umpire unmoved.
That's normally a good signal, isn't it?
Daryl Mitchell has got a point, but unfortunately you've got to get on with it, right? You can't. It was marginal, but I suppose he feels I've missed out on a free hit there. But That's the way it goes.
Final ball of the over. Short hit out towards the man at mid-wicket. Sails over his head, just over Justin Broad's head for another 6. Stephen Croft. Another very productive over there for the Lightning. And another over, conceding a boundary off the final ball. And unfortunately for Tom Taylor, it was a maximum. Partnership worth 115 now, quite comfortably the most productive one for Lancashire in the Blast this year, surpassing a previous best of 82 between Mitchell and Livingston up at Old Trafford when they passed 200, the only time they've done that this year. But it's going to be Freddie Heldrick. He's been backed by David Willey. Change of ends. See how he goes here. Short hit, punched down towards David Willey, long on. So see that intelligent cricket predictor. He's got the Lightning at 77%. It's a big swing, that is, from where the Steelbacks were in the power play. Their best power play so far this year. That has been absolutely smoked over the Briggs and Forrester stand. Croft isn't going to miss out on that when he is 74 and now 80 not out for the Lancashire man, unfortunately for Freddie Heldrick.
And this is now by some distance Lancashire's highest T20 partnership against the Steelbacks, beating the 112 in 2021 between Jennings and Allen. That was for the first wicket. This is for the fourth wicket.
Fuller, slog sweep, out to deep square. Oh, and it's gone through Ben Sanderson's hands at backward square for, unfortunately, another 6. Croft moves on to 86. It's a tough chance, and he felt he was very close to the rope. Yeah, just goes through his hands. Brings up the 150 for the Lightning in the 15th over.
Brilliant recovery from Lancashire. 25 for 3, now 153 for 3.
And again, slower flighted, just be single out towards Vasconcelos. Yeah, it's been an excellent recovery for the Lightning from the position they were in. These two, so much experience. Just be a single out to cover this time. Yep, Stephen Croft in his 235th T20 match of his career. Daryl Mitchell. Swept out towards David Willey. No, Ben Sanderson at square leg. Just be a single to finish the over. Lightning 156 for 3. I'll hand back over to Dan for lead comms for the final 5 overs of this contest, and they've got a big score in mind, especially with Liam Livingston still to come. These two have played brilliantly.
Yeah, it feels like a distant memory when you were saying how good the power play was, Joe, and I've just borrowed Sam's binoculars, and unfortunately the ominous sign of Liam Livingston is still sat at the back of the dugout for the Lightning. But AJ Ty is going to bowl, and Stephen Croft is going to hit that one into the leg side, and Justin Broad hasn't made the best effort at stopping that one. He's going to pick up 4, and I think that's going to put Stephen Croft into the 90s now. It's down the ground for a single. It's been brutal, Joe. This 93 not out or 43 balls striking at 216 makes Daryl Mitchell's 148 strike rate look pretty pedestrian, but the partnership has been it's well, from a Steelbacks perspective, it's been painful. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think in the context of where the Lightning were, I know we've spoken about it a lot, but it's really, really rare for a 4th-wicket partnership to be worth so much when you've lost 3 in the power play. These two have played brilliantly, not really taken too much risk either.
Short, and I think that's going to be a wide from AJ Tai. So he's going to have to re-bowl that one. That was particularly wide, that one. So we've still got one more over of spin to come here, haven't we, I think? With Heldrick having bowled 2 and Zabe having bowled 1. That's full. Stephen Croft plays that one into the leg side. He moves to 94, which equals his highest score in his evergreen T20 career that started back in 2006. Full from AJ Tai, and that's gone through Ricardo Vasconcelos. Is a dive, but it's to avail by Tom Taylor down on the boundary. Daryl Mitchell picked up 4. He moves to 48. And that vibe, that positivity that I was talking about earlier from the Steelbacks in the field just seems to be just dropping a bit here.
Yeah, if you were to ask anyone how the Steelbacks fielding's generally gone this season, just watch that bit of play, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a chance for a caught and bowled. Goes down from AJ Tai. He shows a bit of frustration and he throws that back to Lewis McManus. That would have been sharp. That would have been a ridiculous catch. Unfortunately for the Steelbacks, AJ could not hold on to it. Very well bowled at the back of the hand, wasn't it? 168 for 3 then. 4 overs to go. And it looks like on debut, we're going to get a bit of Justin Broad from the Lynn Wilson centre end for this missing over that we were just talking about.
Yeah, David Willey not wanting to use his spinners, his overs from Safe Saven, Freddie Heldrick. They've gone at a good lick tonight, but Justin Broad called into the attack. Yeah, this partnership has just been 7 dots. 7 dots in 69 balls.
Incredibly impressive. Bit of right arm medium pace then from the Germany international, Justin Broad. Just 1 wicket so far in his international career for Germany. Keeper up to the stumps. Good take by Lewis McManus. Stephen Croft on strike.
Two dots in a row now.
Like buses. What's that, 8 now, is it?
The last time there were 2 dots in a row. The 4th over.
Well, we couldn't make it 3, and Stephen Croft has played that one to the offside. He's going to come back for a couple, and he's going to move to 96.
T20 career best for Stephen Croft.
96 off 46. 5 4s and 7 6s so far in this innings from Stephen Croft. Yorker from Justin Broad, really well bowled. Just a single off his 3rd ball. 171.
Guess you've almost got a little bit of a surprise element in bringing Justin Broad into the attack. These two probably wouldn't have seen too much of him.
And Justin Broad picks up a wicket on debut. New Zealand international Daryl Mitchell goes for 48. Joe's just said he's a bit of a free hit, hasn't quite seen him before. Justin Broad on debut picks up his second T20 wicket.
Yeah, it's just excellent, isn't it, for the young lad? Probably not expecting to be brought into the attack from David Willey, and he's done exactly what the skipper's asked of him and managed to pick up the wicket and break this partnership that was looking so dangerous. 146 of 72 balls, 73 balls it was worth. Does, however, bring Liam Livingstone for the crease. But yeah, very pleased for Justin Broad on his Steelbacks debut.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier, does it, for the Steelbacks as the Lancashire captain makes his way out to the crease to join Stephen Croft. Just the 136 runs so far this season for Liam Livingstone, 23 last time out. Fair few international caps to his name. Big money in the IPL. Hit those monster sixes over the stand at Headingley, didn't he? Was it last summer or the summer before, I think? Might have been the summer before,
yeah.
I think.
Fastest T20 international century for England.
And Justin Broad prepared to show off his skills and his tricks with a slower ball first up to Liam Livingstone. Spent a bit of time with AJ Tye, do you reckon?
I love that. Been brave, bowled a few variations as Broad. Final ball.
Full. Livingstone has absolutely smoked that. I don't know how that's got to the boundary as quick as what it has. Absolute elastic wrists from Liam Livingstone. He picks up 4. How has he timed that well?
It's the bats these days, Dan. Come on. You know that. Yeah, it's absolutely raced away, hasn't it? It's not the biggest boundary, but it's flown across the turf.
There's 2 fielders out there, and neither one of them stood a chance at stopping that. But David Willey back into the attack. He's going to bowl his 4th and last over of the evening. He's currently bowled 3 overs, none for 20. Stephen Croft is on strike. He's on 97, 175 for 4. Full toss to start. Stephen Croft gets down the other end and moves to 98.
Surprisingly, and Liam Livingstone's, this is his 7th match against the Steelbacks. He's only managed to score 58 runs in the 6 matches prior, an average of just under 10. High score 22 off 10 balls back here in 2019.
I saw that as well, Joe. I think isn't it his worst county in the blast, as it were, his lowest average against a county team. Just gives us some hope for the next however many balls, 16 balls.
It's gone straight up in the air. Vasconcelos is trying to get underneath it. And Livingstone picks up 1. I think that caught everybody a little bit by surprise there, didn't it?
Yeah. Variation, full toss. Seen a few of them.
Stephen Croft then on 98. David Willey comes in to bowl. And Stephen Croft moves to 99 now. 99 off 49. Striking at 202 for the Lancashire legend. And that's down the ground, and that is 6 from Liam Livingstone. 1 above his average against the Steelbacks already. 6 down the ground. Those wrists again. Just shoveled the Yorker out, isn't he? Over long off. into the
It's
hospitality.
like trademark Liam Livingstone, isn't it? Go full, and he manages somehow to get underneath it and get enough on it to still clear the ropes.
David Willey finishes that over with the dot ball. So he's finished this evening. He's bowled 4 overs, none for 29, and the Lightning are 184 for 4. There'll be a few cricketers around the world that'll be pretty jealous of the ability, well, Livingstone and Butler in particular, to kind of dig out those Yorkers and still hit them with such power.
Yeah, they're two great exponents of power hitting in the short formats, and they've had their rewards, notably so with their franchise experience. 8 T20 hundreds between them, but it's Stephen Croft, the one on 99.
And Stephen Croft picks up and makes his first career T20 100. Takes the helmet off, salutes the crowd. What an innings, 100 off 50 balls, striking at 200, even I can work that one out. 5 4s and 7 6s. And I'm sure he's thinking, my work's not done yet this evening. What a fantastic innings that has been for the Lightning. Livingstone misses out on that Yorker, well bowled by Tom Taylor.
Yeah, but you can clearly see the plan of Tom Taylor is to come around the wicket, bowl those wide Yorkers, keep them outside of Livingstone's hitting arc. Feel like Livingstone will probably take a few steps over to the offside and try and...
And Liam Livingstone has muscled that one down to deep mid-wicket as he picks up another 4 and moves to 15.
Yeah, into that pocket, wasn't it? Just missed his length ever so slightly, and you mentioned Livingstone able to just get enough on it and get underneath it, hit it in the pocket between long on and deep mid-wicket.
That's a full toss from Tom Taylor, and looks like Vasconcelos has eventually done enough to stop that going for 4, I think. Vasconcelos says he's okay. Liam Livingstone picks up a couple anyway. Good work by Ricardo Vasconcelos on the boundary edge.
It's hard to know, isn't it, in those situations without a third umpire, and unfortunately can't check it, Liam Livingstone.
Yeah, I think in those circumstances you've got to take the player's word for it, haven't you? Professionals gonna, you're gonna have to rely on their word for it, and I think Ricardo Vasconcelos isn't the kind of player that's going to say he hasn't stopped it if he has.
Good Yorker again from Tom Taylor. Just the one for Livingstone this time. It was pretty close, wasn't it? I think that first foot outside the boundary. Watching it back, but
yeah, I'd just be amazed if Ricardo will have 100% thought he has stopped that. So in a game with no cameras, you've got to go with that, haven't you?
Yeah. Yorker again from Tom Taylor, muscled down the ground from Stephen Croft. Livingstone was interested in the second, but Stephen Croft less so. So 193 for 4 then, after 19 overs. AJ Tye, the Australian overseas, is going to bowl the last one from the David Capel end, sponsored by Cinch. Where can Lancs get from here? That win predictor from Intelligent Cricket, having them at 75% now.
Yeah, it just goes to show how much a game can change. Well, according to the predictor, of course.
That's a full toss from AJ Ty, and that's gone miles up in the air off the bat of Stephen Croft. Emilio Gay's underneath it, and Emilio Gay takes the catch. I don't know whether the umpires are going to have a little bit of a conversation as to whether that was safe, but Stephen Croft is on his way for a brilliant 101 off 51 balls. And that's a fantastic innings by Stephen Croft, a guy that's become synonymous with Lancashire, his first career T20 100. And I hope the Steelbacks fans and everybody in the ground gets to their feet and applaud Stephen Croft off the ground, because that's been brilliant to watch.
Yeah, excellent innings for a 38-year-old. Stephen Croft, probably not the most likely, you would have said before the innings, to score 100 based on Lancashire ranks, but yeah, exceptional partnership with Daryl Mitchell, wasn't it? And a very well-judged catch by Safe Save, held on to that one tightly, making amends for that one he dropped early on in the innings. It's full again.
It's just the one, Tom Hartley. And that one has been signalled as a no ball. I assume that was for height rather than overstepping, do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure that one. It did look a little bit higher than the previous one that I think it was dipping on Croft, wasn't it? But that one was a little bit higher.
Well, AJ Ty's got a free hit to bowl, and that man Liam Livingstone is on strike. That's down the leg side, and that's gone straight through Chris Lynn. And I think that's gone down for 4. That's burst through Chris Lynn's hands, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure he knew too much about what had happened, the way that he responded, but it brings up the 200 for Lightning as well. Second time they've managed to get above 200 in the Blast this year.
A big 4 balls coming up from AJ Ty. Gets the Yorker in really well. They're going to take one to Lewis McManus, who misses the stumps. It's going to leave Tom Hartley on strike, though. So a small win, I think, for the Steelbacks there, having Liam Livingstone at the non-strikers end for what they hope will be the next 3 balls. 202 for 5 now for the Lightning. That's gone up, and there's a chance in the deep. And Ben Sanderson makes no mistake. He picks up the wicket of Tom Hartley. He goes for what I think is a couple. I don't think did he make 7? I'm not sure. Anyway, he's gone nonetheless. AJ Ty picks up his second wicket of the evening. Good catch by Ben Sanderson. I assume this will be Dane Villas, will it, next? It's not, it's Rob Jones. Important, though, for the Steelbacks to pick up the wicket there, wasn't it, to keep Livingstone at the non-strikers end. Yorker to start with. And Liam Livingstone through. So he will take strike for the final 2 balls. He's on 23 off 12. The Lancashire captain, and Lancashire 202 for 6. Apologies, it's the last ball of the innings.
Scoreboard's in all sorts again, isn't it?
It's playing tricks with me. Anyway, AJ Ty to Liam Livingstone, last ball of the innings. Full toss and muscled into the leg side. Rob Jones going to come back for 2 and a misfield at the non-strikers end. But eventually there is a run out. not at the end that we thought it was going to come, but Liam Livingston's run out for 25 in the end. So the Lightning finished 204 for 7, giving the Steelbacks 205 to win then in the second innings on this cracking evening here at Wantage Road. Sam, Joe, I'll come to you first. What have you made of that?
Well, so we've had 300s in the blast here at Wantage Road so far this campaign. Graham Clark, when Durham chased down a total easily. You guys saw Chris Lynn against Leicestershire. And then that innings tonight by Stephen Croft. And based on what I saw, and I'll ask your opinion as well, I think that's the best we've seen here, just because of the situation he came in at, the way he paced his innings, realising that he had to sort of get himself in, and then targeting the bowlers he felt he could score effectively off. So I think that's a sensational innings from the veteran. I don't know what you guys think.
Would you agree? I think I'd struggle to argue.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I'd probably say it's even worth 20 or 30 more, based on the context of the game and the situation he came in at. Really showed his experience and his class, and I guess just what a massive contributor he is for this Lightning team. Yeah, it's just an excellent partnership, and the Steelbacks didn't really have any answers, it felt. I think I mentioned there were only, it would have been probably 9 or 10 dots in their partnership. Just really struggled to build any sort of pressure and halt the momentum of those two when they were going.
Yeah, so just running you through the scorecard quickly. I think it's still trying to update throughout that last over. I'm not quite sure entirely what's going on, but Phil Salt made 12, Josh Butler 0, Luke Wells 5, Stephen Croft 101, Daryl Mitchell 48, Liam Livingston potentially 23. I think they're trying to work out as to how many he has actually made with the run out at the end. Then Tom Hartley 1, and Dane Villas, who is in fact Rob Jones, was 1 as well. David Willey 4 overs, none for 29. Ben Sanderson 4 overs, 2 for 29. Tom Taylor 4 overs, 1 for 40. AJ Ty, again, they're still trying to figure out what that last ball was worth, but he's gone for 2 for 41 at the moment. Freddie Heldrick 2 overs, none for 36. Saif Zabe 1 over, none for 17, and Justin Broad on debut 1 over, 1 for 7.
Yeah, if my maths are correct, then having been 25 for 3 or 4.4, they then scored 179 runs off 92 balls, which is some comeback. You know, there's that, keep talking about that stat about power play wickets, but they didn't let that hold them back. Credit to Daryl Mitchell as well, who actually looked like he might be the guy that was going to, be the dominant partner in that partnership. But once he saw Croft take down Heldrick in that first over, he kind of thought, well, okay, I'm going to let you do this. Gave him as much of the strike as possible. Comes away with a pretty handy 48 of 33 balls, but was happy to let Stephen Croft play the leading role. And as I said earlier, I just think that was batting as a pair at its best there. And I don't know how many T20s the two of them have played together, 400 and something probably, but it's all that experience showed, and that's a lesson I think for any middle order batter in T20 cricket about what you can do even after getting into trouble early on. You don't need to panic. The one thing I would say is I think it could have been a lot more. What were they? When Croft went 190, sorry, when Mitchell went 171 for 4 of 16.4, if he was had stayed there, Croft had stayed there, then we could be looking at 220, 230. So, people talk about 200 being par at Wantage Road. I'd say that's going to be a stiff chase, but I don't think Northants are out of it if that top order can fire, which of course has not always been the case so far this season.
Yeah, no, they managed to claw back a little bit of momentum, taking those wickets, the back end. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You'll be hoping that they can fire it as well in a chase. Obviously, at it bit more difficult, isn't it? So 204 is probably again worth a few more. But again, I think they'll be disappointed with the way that they went about their fielding again tonight. Quite a few mistakes. Obviously, not an area that's been particularly, I guess, fruitful for the Steelbacks in this blast campaign. Yeah, you felt like that probably cost them a few runs as well. And that also, we speak about it quite a lot, especially when a partnership's building, just how important it is for the fielders to back up your bowlers when they bowl a good ball, or you know, there's a chance of it just being a 1 instead of a 2, or even 2 instead of a 4 potentially. But see how the chase goes.
Something that will give Northants a little bit of hope is that Lancashire's bowling hasn't been perhaps as good as it might have been. Luke Wood has been sensational, 10 wickets, economy 7.29, bowling up top, but you know, otherwise Tom Hartley, the spinner, going at over 10 and over, Darryl Mitchell over 8s, Liam Livingstone over 8s, Luke Wells has bowled well, 7.3. I mean, they're going to need 10s off these guys, but Luke Wood has been leading the attack, so if they can maybe get hold of him in the power play. Ricardo Vasconcelos, when he's been able to play, he's had that troublesome wrist injury, but he's looked great, a couple of 50s already. So I think a lot riding on his shoulders, and also a lot riding on Chris Lynn's shoulders when he comes in at number 3. That's where he's carded at least. Wonder if there'll be a change given the sort of scale of the task. Although you'd say that with the field up for the power play, that probably suits Emilio Gay's game the best, you know, piercing the infield and going along the ground almost.
Yeah, I think they'll stick with it. It's going to be a very different experience in the second innings, though. Looking at the Lancashire lineup, there's two out-and-out seamers in that team, isn't there, with Luke Wood and Jack Blatherwick, with a bit of seam up from Darryl Mitchell as well. But obviously, Luke Wells, wrist spinner, Liam Livingstone, we know, can do a bit of both. Wrist spin from Rob Jones, finger spin from Tom Hartley, and we know how far spin went in that first innings.
Yeah,
so we obviously saw Ben Sanderson, David Willey swing that new ball about early on. Ben Sanderson bowled brilliantly well. Maybe Lancashire don't have those same resources to be able to exploit that the same way that Northants did. And I mean, get hold of a couple of the spinners, you never know.
Well, exactly, just got to take the lead from the way Lancashire took on Northants' spinners.
Yeah, and I think kind of the Steelbacks being forced into using Justin Broad as a 7th bowler is something that the Steelbacks can, you know, also draw on. I think you mentioned, like, you look at the lineup, there's probably only 5 real out-and-out bowlers, and then you got your 6th option as Luke Wells potentially when you look at their lineup. So,
who has bowled well so far? You know, he's almost overtaken Matt Parkinson as the frontline spinner for the Lightning this year. So he's sort of finding his position as more of a frontline spinner. But yeah, I think that's a fair point. There's Wells and Livingstone's overs are, you know, typically what you would say kind of fill-in overs. So if you can get hold of those, then who knows? The umpires are making their way back out. They were kept busy in the Lancashire innings. Certainly might be a few trips to the match referee's office from possibly both sides. But, you know, competitive instincts, that's what we like to see. I'm sure you're never called up there, are you, Joe, when you're playing?
no, actually, I've never been called in to the match ref's office.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
Something to aspire to, isn't it?
Yeah, I had, when I was playing out in Melbourne back in 2018. First time
Melbourne twice, have you?
Yeah, just
all right, yeah.
Not too bad, hey.
No, it sounds okay.
I did get a speaking. Actually, you know, if you were looking at my train and plane records of the last 2 or 3 weeks, you'd probably say no. Yeah, no, I did get a speaking to from the umpire back then, because I thought it was just a clear as day LBW decision that didn't get given, so I just gave it these ones to have a review, and then I got told off for it. So yeah, maybe I've learnt from that. Never done that again.
Right.
You were like the Gary Lineker of cricket, never getting a yellow card, but careful with your DRS signals.
Yeah.
So Luke Wood, as we anticipated, will open the bowling from the Lynn Wilson centre end. He has his 2 men out, and they are on the backward square leg boundary. Sorry, it's the left-handed Vasconcelos. So a deep point for Vasconcelos. And where is the second? On the deep backward square. So yes, whichever way you look at it, left or right-handed, we have 2 men out on the square boundaries as Wood comes in. Dab down to that man at deep backward point, single for Vasconcelos. 205, excuse me, 204 to win. 205 at the start of the innings, 204 now. Do my maths. And you're watching live cricket from Wantage Road on the Northamptonshire County Cricket Club stream, or I should say the Northamptonshire Steelbacks stream as it is during the blast. Powered by Daffabet. My name's Sam Keir. Next to me, Dan Jadzovic and Joe Gardner. Beats the outside edge. Deceptively quick, Luke Wood. That left arm gets it to zip off a length. Good carry there.
Yeah, decent from Luke Wood. Made a couple of T20 internationals for England.
He's got a slip and a sort of fly slip, as well as a man on the edge of the edge of the ring on the 45. That man at the deep backward point. Those are the two men on the onside, otherwise 3 men in the ring on the offside, and, sorry, 3 men on the onside. The man on the 45, the deep backward square, and the mid-on to Emilio Gay, who plays down the ground, doesn't quite time it, picks up a single.
Bit of wristy bottom hand there from Emilio Gay, wasn't it, to get himself off the mark. Tidy start so far from Luke Wood.
Yeah, apart from, I think, 2 games on the road where he went for a few runs, Luke Wood has been exceptional for Lancashire. Nice shot. That'll be 4. The first boundary of the Steelbacks chase goes to Ricardo Vasconcelos.
Nice bit of timing there from Ricardo. A shot that these two like to play regularly.
Yeah, his stance almost mirrored the shot, just opening up and dabbing down. Lovely shot and well placed. Intelligent cricket from Ricardo Vasconcelos. As is that. A lovely little paddle over the keeper's head. Back-to-back boundaries. Ricardo Vasconcelos looking in good touch. That wrist causing him no problems there with that shot. Just takes a step over the offside and lets the pace on the ball do most of the work. Great stuff from Ricardo Vasconcelos. So 10 off the opening over. Pretty much up with the rate. A good start, Joe.
Yeah, excellent bit of batting. Bold, confident from Ricardo Vasconcelos. Well executed ramp shot. Just the 3rd ball of his innings. You love to see that. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. And I must say, he has looked in good touch when he's played so far this year.
Young Jack Blatherwick from the David Capel end with an identical field. Just his 3rd senior T20 appearance. Bowled very nicely in his debut, went for a few in his 2nd game. So a bit of an unknown quantity for the Northamptonshire batters. Back of a length, and Emilio Gay just rides it directly in front of him. No run. And dot ball actually brought Steelbacks percentage up, which was a bit strange. On the intelligent cricket chances of victory, Lightning 67.9%. Oh, hang on, it's a ball behind. And that's a lovely shot from Emilio Gay. Trademark on drive. Picked up the length, quick as you like. Sent it straight back past Jack Blatherwick for 4.
Gorgeous stroke from Emilio Gay. Little bit of extra power than we're probably used to seeing him when he plays that stroke, but got the outcome a result of a boundary nonetheless.
Yeah, this is an encouraging start from Northants. The power play you feel will be crucial given the total they're chasing. 4 more. Emilio Gay loves it down the ground. Do not pitch it up to Emilio Gay. Jack Blatherwick learning a painful lesson.
Yeah, just stand and deliver stuff from Emilio Gay.
I suppose the one thing about chasing a big total is you're not in two minds about how you're going to go. You know, you've got to score quickly, and it kind of almost removes that uncertainty, which I guess if you're going to chase it down, you've got to go from the off. Lancashire, of course, did not make the most of their power play, so if they can get ahead, as it were. 4 more, 3 in a row for Emilio Gay. This is great stuff from the tall left-hander. Jack Blatherwick, 4-4-4 off the second, third and fourth balls of his delivery.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Gay. Clearly an area that he's looking to target with those 2 men up in this power play, prompting a field change. That man at deep point comes up, and Blatherwick will be coming around the wicket to Emilio Gay now, as we've got 2 out on the leg side.
Yeah, signalling that this might be a short ball. It certainly could do with being a little bit shorter. Those last 3 deliveries right where Emilio Gay loves them. It is a shorter ball, and Emilio Gay looked to give himself room and play it down to third, but it kind of just followed him, and in the end, a dot ball.
Yeah, not a bad option. He knew that the short ball was coming, didn't he, Emilio Gay? And see, with third man up, again, an area that he obviously backs himself to find the gap with.
Pretty good
space.
Pretty good bouncer, actually, following him. Shorter again, and this time Gay opens the face. It heads out to the substitute fielder, George Bell, for 1 bounce. That completes the over. 12 off it, 22 for naught after 2. And bang up with the rate. Good start from the Steelbacks. Who's off the field, Joe? Have you worked that out?
Classic, isn't it? Stephen Croft scored a few runs in the first innings. Oh, that's it. I'll just have a little...
Done my job.
I'll have a sit down, lads. Thanks.
Oh, who can blame him? He has earned a breather after... Well, he took all our breath away, really, with that innings. Wonderful to see. And Northants will need someone to play a similar innings to get up to this. It's clearly a good pitch. No demons in the wicket. Luke Wood starts his second over. A quick left armour. That is a big shout for LBW. Luke Wood loved it. Rob Bailey, not so much. It was an attempted scoop.
See it again here. If he just got himself
outside the line,
just outside the line, I think that's what Rob Bailey was saying.
Certainly would have been knocking middle stump out, but and, 1 leg by.
Not the first time we've seen these Lancashire players have a few choice words with the umpires as well.
So the slippers come out. Extra man as Emilio Gay chips 1 up, and he's gone. Short but sweet from Emilio Gay. He goes for 13 off 10 deliveries. Looking to work that into the onside. Got a leading edge and a regulation catch on the edge of the 30-yard circle. For the man at mid-on, just coming round. Just overshot him. Not the easiest catch, but you'd expect him to take it.
Yeah, it really ballooned up, didn't it? Leading edge off Emilio Gay's bat, and I don't know if there might have been a late movement potentially. It certainly angled as if it was going down the leg side, so Emilio Gay just trying to play it quite square, caught out off the outside edge.
Well, Jack Blatherwick gets his revenge. He took a bit of tap off Emilio Gay in his over from the David Capel-Len, but it was him with the catch. And that man, Luke Wood, who's been so impressive for the Lightning, not just this year, but in previous Blast campaigns as well. Of course, earned an England call-up. Was that in Pakistan or Bangladesh?
Pakistan, yeah. Player of the match performance on debut with 3 for 24 for England.
Yeah. Steaming in. Full toss. Aimed at Chris Lynn's hip, and he manages to keep sight of it and just tuck it into the onside.
Ooh,
so no
signalled
ball.
no ball.
No ball. That must be on height. Looked okay to me, given that he played it off his hip, but maybe we can have a look at the replay. Bonus for Northants. Free hit, of course. Not sure if we'll get a replay of that delivery. We'll have to take Rob Bailey's word for it. And ultimately, his word is the word that matters, as we have learnt so far in this game. No point disputing it. So it'll be Ricardo Vasconcelos who gets to have a free swing at this one. Swing he does! Out of the ground! Onto the top of the tent at least. 6 runs for Ricardo Vasconcelos, who makes the most of that free hit. Not the greatest delivery from Luke Wood, bit of a long hop, and we know how good Ricardo Vasconcelos is against the short ball. Made no mistake there, absolutely walloped onto the top of the bar.
Got underneath that and helped it on its way, didn't he, Ricardo Vasconcelos?
Oh, sensational, absolutely sensational from Luke Wood. One-handed, diving to his left, an utterly brilliant catch off his own bowling.
That was incredible.
Yeah, we're lost for words up here. That is absolutely brilliant. His follow through takes him the other way, and he has to completely change direction and takes an absolutely brilliant catch.
Incredible piece of athleticism. Puffed his chest out a little bit to Vasconcelos as well in.
His reaction almost made everyone think, oh, it hasn't carried, because it was so sort of just, come on then, look what I've just done. But actually, he made no mistake. That was a brilliant bit of fielding. He is an athletic man, Luke Wood, and he's taken 2 wickets in the over suddenly. In Steelbacks, 32 for 2 after 2.4. The runs are coming easily enough, but this over has brought a couple of wickets as well. He's not happy, Luke Wood. I think he was utterly pumped up by the no-ball call, and it's fueled him, giving him that extra 10% to take that wonderful catch.
Yeah, I think firstly the LBW shout, first ball, and then the no-ball. It's brought out the best in him with that piece of work, though.
That LBW shout feels like a long time ago. We've had a lot happen since then. 2 wickets, waist high no balls, 3 hits 6. 10 runs off the over and 2 wickets, and we've still got 2 balls to come. So the new man is David Willey. He's moved down a slot to number 4. He was carded a little lower down, so this could be a little bit of fluidity in the Northants batting lineup. And he's gone. Luke Wood is on a hat-trick. He turns around and looks at David Willey as if to say, too good for you. And on this instance, he was. David Willey gone for a first ball duck, caught behind by Phil Salt off the bowling of Luke Wood, who is on a hat-trick here at Wantage Road. It's just been in for pace, hasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, I think so, and you can say that Luke Wood has won the battle of England international left-arm seamers there. Yeah, lovely bit of bowling there from Luke Wood.
He's absolutely pumped up, Luke Wood. Well, after a very positive start, suddenly Northants are in all sorts of trouble. 32 for 3, and this over has had it all. 3 wickets in the over. That contentious waist-high no ball, and that seems to just totally pump Luke Wood up, who is steaming in, bowling absolute rapid. Sharp, that is. So a hat-trick ball for Luke Wood. Have you ever seen a hat-trick live, Joe? I'm not sure I have, you know.
No, I don't think
Certainly
I have.
not in pro cricket. Well, tonight could be the night. Luke Wood, who has somewhat carried the Lancashire attack, is leading from the front. And well left by the new batter. Safe save. That's the thing to do on a hat-trick ball, is leave it well alone. What an over.
So fired up. Luke Wood really charging in there. That's what you want to see from your quick bowlers, isn't it? And Steelbacks got off to a decent start, but losing 3 wickets in that over. 32 for 3. Brings New Zealand international Daryl Mitchell into the attack.
Three overs left of the power play. Mitchell into the attack with his 2 men out being the men at deep backward square and deep mid-wicket. Otherwise he's got 5 men on the offside in the ring. Man on the 45 and a mid-on. And Chris Lynn just tucks it off his hip. Gets down the other end.
Now, Safe knows a thing or two about chasing decent totals after leading the side home. That victory down at New Road, 17 out of 35 balls for him. You're needing an innings like that here tonight.
Scored a few runs at Old Trafford last year, is that right? Oh, and he just chops that into the ground, which goes through to Dane Veland. Joss Butler is keeping wicket, not Phil Salt. That's interesting. Should have spotted that really when the catch was taken. I would just assume that Phil Salt was keeping, as he has been all campaign. But Joss Butler's got the gloves. Don't want to be unkind to Joss, but maybe he fancied doing something tonight.
Savage.
I am, of course, joking. The man is a legend. Shot for none by Save. Times it nicely, cut into the point region, but it's well fielded by George Bell, the substitute fielder, and another man who has taken the gloves for Lancashire so far in the blast.
It's incredibly sassy from you there, Sam.
I feel bad now.
I thought
the guy who's led this country.
The second you said it, I thought you might have regretted it.
I'm not sure a frankly uncalled for barb from me is really going to worry Joss Butler.
What, the double World Cup winner being
exactly.
sledged by Sam Keir in the Northants commentary box?
Exactly. Oh, big man up here. How many T20 internationals have you played, Sam?
Yeah.
Fair point. My apologies to Joss. It does pose the question, though, why he is keeping. I don't know if Phil Salt's got a blow or Joss Butler just decided he needs some time behind the stumps. And he's in action there again with a short, wide delivery from Daryl Mitchell that can't have been that far away from Chris Lynn's edge, given the reaction. That seemed to seam away off the middle of the track.
Tidy start here from Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah.
3 for 9 in the previous game against Worcester.
Not a man it's easy to get away, is it? Spells that nagging back of a length. Rolls his fingers over the ball, tucked into the onside, 1 run. Well, interesting. Sabe and Lynn almost doing exactly what Mitchell and Croft did. 3 wickets down, just deciding they needed to rotate the strike. Pretty good template for how to approach the situation.
Yeah, it's almost a carbon copy of the situation. I mean, you see the wickets falling all in that previous over from Luke Wood, and looks like he's going to be having a third. But in terms of score, Steelbacks 32 for 3 when that third wicket was taken, and the Lightning were 25 for 3. So they've certainly got a template for how to go about getting up to the total.
4 runs for Chris Lynn off the outside edge. Races past Luke Wells, the man at sort of deep gully almost. When you're chasing 205 for victory, you'll take them how they come.
Yeah, every little helps, doesn't it? In a chase like this, you feel? Chris Lynn looking to replicate his previous innings here at Wantage Road, that's for sure.
Tries to dab it down to that 3rd region, but this time it's cut off by Luke Wells on the bounce.
There are a few travelling fans currently through the effects mic there that have made the journey down on the Friday night to Northampton. Not sure where they're situated.
It's quite hard to tell actually, isn't it? 'Cause it's absolutely rammed. Ground is teeming. People sat out front of the advertisement boards down on Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, look at that. Although that does prompt a bit of anxiety in me in terms of how close proximity they are to the boundary edge.
Another sort of edgy shot from Chris Lynn. This time he'll only get 1. Looking to target the vacant area behind Luke Wells at that kind of deep gully point, but not quite getting it as fine as he would have liked. I'm right in saying, Joe, that Phil Salt has kept, when he, apart from that first game when he was still at the IPL, he's kept every game, hasn't he, for Lancashire?
Bear with me.
Save thinks about helping that on its way, but instead decides to let it go through to the keeper, Joss Butler.
No, Butler kept in the last game against the Rapids, so
apologies to
you were incorrect.
Yeah, not for the first time. Apologies to Lightning supporters. I guess it makes sense for the England white ball keeper to keep wicket as and when he deems fit. Good stuff from Luke Wood, who is bang on the money. Finishes his 3rd over, just 6 runs from it. He's got 3 for 25 from his 3. All 3 of those wickets coming in his 2nd over. As I hand over to Joe for lead comms.
Yep, Dan, Sam, sorry, just to let you know, Butler's kept in every game that he's played. Just gonna throw that one out there.
Good stuff.
That's okay.
Dan is showing me the door. I do apologise. That is a complete lack of research on my part. Why did I think that? I don't know.
Just to offer you a slight lifeline, I think he might be, when he plays for Rajasthan, there's quite often that he's not keeping wicket. And I think maybe that might have carried over.
That'll be it, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's just poor on my... I apologise. I'll go and hide in a corner. You've got 5 overs without me.
Jack Blatherwick, 2nd over. Pushed up to mid off from Zaid, but dot ball.
That'll have Lancs fans spitting feathers, and quite rightly so. Tune in, watch your team play, and you've got some moron saying, why is Phil Salt not keeping? Because he hasn't done all season.
Final over of the power play. 5 balls left in it. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous from Safe Sabe into the top tier of the Turner stand. 6 runs straight down the ground. As good as it gets from Safe Sabe.
Hold the pose, update your Instagram profile. Lovely shot. That's the biggest one that I've seen here at Wantage Road so far this season. I haven't seen anything go up into the top tier at the David Capel end this year, I don't think.
Tom Taylor hit one onto the roof.
That was a while ago.
Brilliant shot from Zabe. And he's strangled down the leg side. This time he has to go. 6 and out for the left-hander. He just went to pull it. He's pulled it straight to the gloves of Joss Butler. Didn't quite get up as much as he was expecting, I don't think. He has to go for 8 off 9 balls. Important wicket for the Lightning. 47 for 4, the Steelbacks now. Blatherwick has 3rd wicket of his T20 career.
Yeah, it's a shot of strength from Zabe. That shot off the short ball from the seamer just gets inside it and tries to almost muscle it down over fine leg, but obviously just got a little bit of a tickle or a bit of glove on that through to Joss Butler, which brought the end of his innings this evening. 4 down now, as Joe's just said in the power play. I mean, that over from Luke Wood was almost shell-shock, but the debutant is in the middle.
Yeah, what a time for Justin Broad to come to the crease. We mentioned scored plenty of runs in the second 11, 346 in the second 11 T20 competition this year, averaging just under 50. Pushes that straight up towards mid-off for a dot. Yep, strike rate 155, 450s with a high score of 71 off 48 against the Birmingham Bears. Had a partnership in that game with Chris Lynn, worth 56, and they'll be hoping to have at least double that, you'd think, if the Steelbacks are going to get anywhere near this total. 2 balls left for the power play. Short, tucked into leg side from Broad. He gets off the mark. His first runs for the Steelbacks.
Yeah, I think he's got 8 50s in 14 innings this summer for the second 11 for Nottinghamshire, which included 50 against the Dutch side and in a rain-affected game, I think.
95, 35 over match that was. He scored 95, yeah. Good numbers behind him, that is for sure. So final ball of the power play. Steelbacks 48 for 4. Chris Lynn, runner ball 8. Nudged into the offside. They'll just come through for a single. So Steelbacks 49 for 4 at the end of power play. Rounding off tidy over from there, Jack Blatherwick. 1 for 8 off that one.
So they are ahead. 1 wicket obviously down, more so than what Lancashire were after 6 overs, but there needs to be an awful lot of heavy lifting done by Chris Lynn here and Justin Broad.
Yeah, absolutely right. Brings slow left arm finger spin of Tom Hartley out of the power play, so 5 men out are short. Missed time from Lynn, but we've got a cover, a deep cover, long on, long off, deep square leg and a mid-wicket. So fielders in front of square. Pulled that out towards the man at backward square, George Bell. Brings Broad on to strike. 50 runs up for Steelbacks. Just defended out towards cover. Thought he might have had a chance at a single, but turned it down. Reverse sweep from Broad, excellent, well executed. Will it go all the way? Yes. Well, that's one way to score your first boundary in Steelbacks colours. Lovely, lovely piece of work from Justin Broad.
That's a lovely shot, isn't it? Lovely shot. It's got a unique stance. You have a watch of him. Gets the bat in a unique angle.
Back of the length, timed nicely up towards long off. Broad moves on to 6. Tom Hartley, leading wicket taker in terms of spin for the Lightning last year. Again, another single taken up towards long off to complete Hartley's first over. Steelbacks 56 for 4. So 149 required, 11 and a half and over. What are we going to see here? That reverse sweep, yeah, well worth re-watching that. Almost cut off by the fielder, but not quite. Well executed from Justin Broad. So we're going to see spin of Luke Wells into the attack now as well. Is Chris Lynn going to target him much the same way Stephen Croft did to the left arm wrist spin of Freddie Heldrick in the first innings? Let's have a look. Dragged down, doesn't get hold of it. It'll be a dot. Got away with that one, didn't he?
He did slightly, yeah. They find themselves, the Steelbacks, in a pretty precarious situation though, don't they? They've obviously lost one more than the Lightning in their first innings. They don't quite have the licence to
inside
go
edge,
potentially as hard as what Croft and Mitchell were able to do so with the batting that then they still had to come. So it's going to be a really, really interesting partnership, because some of these spinners for Lancashire, they've got to go the distance if the Steelbacks stand a chance of winning this game, or at least getting close.
You're not wrong. Driven nicely. That'll be 4 for Justin Broad. Beats the dive of Liam Livingstone at extra cover. All the way along the carpet. Lovely shot. Got his hand through that nicely, did Justin Broad.
It's a very wristy flick, wasn't it? That was good enough to pick up his second boundary. I'm not sure which one I prefer. Do I prefer the reverse sweep or the wristy flick through cover? I don't know. It's a tough choice.
Wells in again, short, hit out towards long on, bounces just in front of him. Thought for half a second, was it going to be a catching opportunity? But in the end, fielder does well. And it's just a 1 to Justin Broad. Couple balls left. Luke Wells first over. And slightly short, but slapped out towards Rob Jones at a deep cover point from Chris Lynn. Timed nicely. Yeah. Just want these two to stick around for a decent period of time. Do exactly what Croft and Mitchell did for the Lightning. Yeah, and timed nicely off the back foot from Justin Broad. He'll keep the strike at the end of the over. Steelbacks 64 for 4 after 8.
Yeah, it was a good over, wasn't it, for the Steelbacks? Justin Broad striking at 150, which is just about what he's been going at, I think, for the second 11 so far this summer as well. I was quite the pull shot down to long on surprised me slightly. The Lancashire field is just going off, actually, that did the fielding there to get I think that's Dane Villas, isn't it, number 33, to get a bit of treatment. I didn't think that was going to get anywhere near Dane Villas.
Second over for Hartley. Goes to sweep, but misses that time. It's not very often you have 2 subfielders on the pitch, but yeah, absolutely right. Like it may have hurt him a little bit.
I suppose when you can bring 3 overseas, you can have 2 subfielders, can't you?
There is that. A little bit of turn on offer there for Hartley. 2 dots to start his second over.
Strength and depth in there for the Lightning on show.
Wide this time. Wide. Julie signalled there. Hit out in towards the leg side, but it will just be a single. Leg stump brings Chris Lynn back onto strike. Just one boundary for Chris Lynn so far in the innings. Hit out towards the man at square and he's dropped it. It's gone through his hands and that'll be 4. Subfielder George Bell there. And you just wonder how big an opportunity that might be for the Lightning in the context of this game. He thought he'd got enough of it, but yeah, Chris Lynn thought he was on his way there. Wide again this time from Hartley. Yeah, big chance. Drop there from George Bell. Hartley's just... There's the single.
Yeah, it could be a massive moment, couldn't it? That drop of down on the boundary that